No, we just can't. We can't drop the F-bomb in the first 5 minutes, unfortunately, with monetization, Lucas.
Okay. All right,
But we could take it from the top. Top Gun from the top, baby.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump in to episode 86. You do anything fun today?
I mean, it was the first real sunny day out here in Utah without there being just a bunch of wind. So when I was doing all my spring cleaning and it came time to doing the enclosures, I took all the snakes outside, just hung out with them for a little bit.
I saw that reel you posted. She looked good out there.
Yeah. Both the girls look great. And it was just a good day, getting a lot of productive stuff done. Busy work.
What was that? You shared a story that someone posted on your buddy's Ring doorbell. I had my volume off. What the hell? It terrified me. You just had your mustache right in this guy's doorbell.
And with volume, it's even better. But no, I feel like if your buddies have a Ring doorbell, it's your obligation to leave them little gifts. And I was supposed to go to a comedy show last night, but a couple of my coworkers who were going to go just couldn't last minute. So I went up to my friend's house and was trying to race in there to watch a mountain bike race. Awesome. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna mess with them a little bit.
Speaking of mountain bike racing, how's your shins?
Shredded. Yeah. I used a pedal of a mountain bike to shred my shin up pretty good last night.
Can you lift your leg up in the camera? I'm trying right now and I can't.
Oh, I don't know if I can get that. I'm not even gonna try.
No.
Yeah. I don't want to embarrass myself.
On that note, let's jump into 86. So everyone, welcome to another episode of the TheReticLounge. And our guest today has been known across the reptile community for over 5 years now of having the coolest reptile podcast in the world. He's had some of the biggest names in reptiles as guests. Recently, he's branched out and he's created the Traptalkreptilenetwork and is adding an excellent lineup of podcasts. He's got Cush's Corner now that's on there that's really awesome to watch. And aside from the Trap Talk podcast, our guest has owned some of the coolest reptiles on the planet and has had a diverse collection, and recently has actually been downsizing and kind of focusing a little bit more on what he's keeping. And I definitely want to touch on that. But on this week's episode, we're about to get real and raw with MJ, and it's going to be a good one. We're going to do a deep dive into his podcast, his mindset, struggles, and controversy that have come up over the last 5 years. And I know that he's often brought up a lot of mental health topics on his podcast. So we're really excited to really just dive deep and get real with MJ. So Nate, you got anything before we bring him on?
No, I've enjoyed the Trap Talk podcast for years. Seen MJ at a handful of shows, talked with him a handful of times. So look forward to speaking with him again tonight. Yeah,
let's go ahead and bring him on.
Hey, what's going on, MJ?
Yo,
how you guys doing?
Good, good, man.
Not bad.
What an awesome show.
The Trap Talk, right?
Well, I'm talking about right here where I'm at. This is great.
The second coolest reptile podcast in the world.
No, the coolest Retic podcast.
Oh, absolutely. No, I've shamelessly said that before.
Yeah, no, I will say it's an honor to be here. And it's also really, one thing I want to give you guys flowers on right off the bat is just how you guys evolved with not only the appearance of your guys' show, but just how you guys handle your guys' show. Looks like you guys are always planning the next step. You guys seem like your guys' chemistry has grown together as well. So I just want to say you guys are doing great, and it truly is an honor to be on this show. So thank you.
Hey man, that means a lot. It's come with its up and downs from the podcast to our relationship. So yeah, I mean, it's just all been building week by week.
Right on.
Absolutely. MJ, man, over the last year and a half, me and you have started to get closer and, have gotten to know each other and, message almost day in, day out on your Patreon chat on Instagram. You got a great community over there, but for those that haven't heard of you or don't know about your history with reptiles, can you kind of take us in on when your passion with reptiles began and when you began keeping? Whether you've poured your heart and soul into your reptile business or you've just begun your business journey, AE Foundry has you covered with next-level expertise in graphic design, motion graphics, videography, photography, and so much more. If you've been dying for a new logo for your reptile business, motion graphics for your current logo, a new website, or need assistance making your video podcast come to life, then listen carefully. AE Foundry's mission places storytelling at its core. AE Foundry believes that a distinctive story and background are the driving forces that set your brand apart. In today's market, consumers seek more than just products. They crave a connection built on trust with the brands they cherish. AE Foundry is committed to empowering small businesses and fostering authenticity that resonates with their consumers. Reach out to them and let them help you craft a visual narrative that helps establish a genuine and lasting connection with your audience. To contact AE Foundry, email them at aromero@aefoundry.com or on Instagram at AE Foundry. When it comes to housing your retics, trust me, you're going to want an enclosure that will be just as strong and durable as your reticulated python. The Heartland Reptile enclosure is next level tough and will outlive you and your retic by several generations. Heartland Reptile enclosures are designed and manufactured out of powder-coated aluminum to provide the highest quality and longevity available in the reptile enclosure. What makes them even better is they are lighter than your PVC and plastic enclosures out there and are extremely tough. Stop playing around with plastic enclosures for your large constrictors and step up your enclosure game with the Heartland Reptile enclosure. To inquire about one of these enclosures, speak to Jordan himself at Heartland Reptiles on Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok.
We also want to thank VivTech Products for being an affiliate sponsor of the TheReticLounge. Stop by VivTech Products for the best UV spectrum lighting on the market that will enhance and improve your snake's overall well-being and health. Visit vivtechproducts.com and use the code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Again, visit vivtechproducts.com and use our affiliate code ReticLounge23 today for 15% off. Looking for the perfect accessories for your hatchlings or juvenile retics? Look no further than Heli Guy Serpents. Our sponsor, Chris Sexton, is coming in hot with an amazing 3D printer, creating top-notch perches and other caging accessories for your beloved pets. Enrich your retics environment with their high-quality products. Use our promo code TRL10 for a 10% discount on your purchase. Visit them today at heliguyserpents.com and start giving your pets the best. Heli Guy Serpents, the premier source for 3D printed caging accessories. Again, that's www.heliguyserpents.com and use our promo code TRL10 for 10% off all of your 3D printed accessories today.
Yeah, I mean, I think the meat and potatoes of things really started when I came into the ball python breeding side of things, which escalated just like almost anyone who gets into ball pythons, you know. But I didn't come from money, you know. I came from a place where I was in a transition in my life, really was unhappy with who I was. And I met Lily, who's now my wife. And, you know, Lily was kind of my huge inspiration to like dive deep into ball pythons, because she saw it was pulling me away from like the party scene and DJing and like wanting to do stuff that wasn't getting me nowhere. So anyways, when I had a girl that supported what I loved, that was actually something that benefited my life, which was the reptile world, it just gave me, so many opportunities. And I'm somebody who's had, my life has been full of opportunities, and I've taken great advantage and done great with a lot of opportunities. And I've also fucked up a lot of opportunities too. But I feel like the reptile opportunity that I've had in my life has been like the best thing ever, for sure, hands down. And not even the podcast, which I'm blessed for the podcast side of things, which I'm mainly known for in the reptile game for the podcast. But man, the animals, I mean, I'm just like, holy shit, you know, like I'm sorry. Can I cuss?
We're past that 5-minute mark.
Okay, cool. But like Lucas was saying, I mean, the reptiles I feel like is what keeps me so relevant in this reptile game. So I'm very just blessed and happy to have what I have, but also just never expected it to be where it's at. All I know is I am thankful for the ball pythons in 2017 because 2020 is when I actually started breeding, and it happened to be COVID, man. And I was breeding enough stuff to just sell right off an Instagram post, and I made a lot of money, man. It was a blessing, but all I did was put that money back into reptiles. Like I know it was a curse, but also set me up for success. It really did, because
for sure
I was getting my hands on crazy different species of Boega. I remember at one point, once I realized, okay, there's a lot more cooler stuff out there than ball pythons, and I met a really cool importer. Well, he was cool to me. I don't want to say he was cool on the scale of that, like on a whole. He did really bad to some people, but to me, he took really good care of me and would send me some crazy Boega. And I had over 4 or 5 different species, and just started stacking stuff. And over the first couple of years of working with different species, next thing you know, I have all this like cool established stuff. And mind you, after a while, it got old. Like I was like, oh my God, like, these freaking colubrids are messy. And it's like, I like to put my energy almost all into one thing, even though I have a bunch of stuff. And I just started realizing my energy should be, I should start spreading out my energy. I shouldn't be spreading out my energy so much like I am, So I will say that it ramped up really quick, but then I quickly realized, okay, holy crap, this is a lot. Because I don't want to be like known to be good at just ball pythons and, oh wow, like he works with this other stuff, but he can't breed or he's not good. Like I want to really be good at what I work with. And I just knew that some stuff out there takes a lot of attention to detail, a lot of figuring out. And, I was thrown into the wolves right off the bat, working with different imported species of reptiles, but it also made me realize what I really loved and really what I really want to work with. And at that time, here's the thing. Anytime I was ready to let go of an animal, this animal was so long-term captive and ready to go to where it's worth a lot. Like, I didn't keep anything that wasn't popping. Like I had I had European hypo line of false water cobras that were like a breeding pair. Like I just had cool shit that a lot of people didn't have, but it was really nice looking, and a lot of that stuff helped me get to the next level of like emerald tree boas and chondros and stuff like that. So I just kept figuring out what I loved the most, and whatever I felt like just didn't have the amount of love that it should, I figured out what I need to do with it and find good homes with it. And it's sad, but it's also cool because I get to find out and work with awesome shit. Like, I mean, even though I don't have everything I once started with, all that shit's on my resume, and I could tell you a lot about it because I geeked out over anything I owned. I geeked out over it, and I obsessed over it. And so that's
I'm the same way.
And so, and mind you, a lot of this obsession with reptiles I always had before the podcast. It wasn't like, no offense, but people start podcasts and then they want to get into reptiles like on another level, where I was already on that level. Thanks to Forrest Fanning, rest in peace, and other people who put me on. I will say I wouldn't be shit in this industry if it wasn't for the people I knew, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I could have known even more stuff than what I know now. And if you were to take away half the people that I met in the beginning, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now for sure. So it was definitely like the amount of like the passion with reptiles plus the people I met, you know what I mean? It came hand in hand,
Yeah. You had a great support system through your early years in reptiles.
Yeah. What's crazy is some of the biggest people I had that was in that support system are no longer with us, which is crazy to think about. But it's also like, man, like what a place to be, like inspired by people who inspired millions. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of legends. You know what I mean? And like, dude, we think about so many things we are into where we don't even get to meet our legends. We don't ever get to meet like me. Like I said, it's corny, but I was a huge, and I still am a huge WWF, WWE fan, And as a kid, my heroes was obviously my dad, but like fucking like Ultimate Warrior and like Hulk Hogan, like legit,
Yeah.
all through elementary, Legion of Doom. Like these fools were like,
I almost wore my Stone Cold shirt tonight.
I almost, it's funny, so did I. Dude, I have a Dad 316 shirt, and I was gonna wear it.
That's
But
awesome.
anyways, like, and these were people that were untouchable. Like, think about it. You can only see back in the 90s and stuff. You can only see them on television. And San Diego, they were never around here. They're out in the like Midwest and shit. So, anyways, like to have like something that you're that like into, and then now you get to meet them. That's kind of what it was for me. And I was just so thankful to meet really good people because man, my background is pretty like cutthroat. You know, like I come through a place where it's like very drug influence as far as like, you know, how I made my money, and then like but people like robbing me and then I'm robbing them, and like it's just becoming like a fucking like a really nasty like no trust type of thing. And I lived for like almost all through my 20s. Like I had a really good group of friends, but then I also lived another life, a part of those friends that just like really fucked things up. And so like I was pretty pre-damaged coming into the reptile game.
And once you start that path of like, you know, you start to realize that like you can't trust anyone, it's hard to reverse that.
Dude, it sticks with you forever. I'm telling you, like it became such a natural thing, and also had a big effect on my mood and how I treat people. Like, you know what I mean? Because then I just think everyone's suspect in my head. You know, I'm just like, well, what, you know, fuck this guy. You know?
Yeah. What's your motive?
Yeah, right. And so and the reptile game just made me put that guard down so much. And because it's like, okay, it's not like that here. Like no one's even like that. First and foremost, like we're all fucking just guys who just want to hang out with reptiles. Like it's such a like grown ass but kid ass world. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's for grown-ups, but we all act like kids. You know what I'm saying? And
like we're all a bunch of geeks.
Yeah, it just brings it's a joy side of things. And I know this because I've gone to reptile shows like Nathan was saying, and you know, Lucas, we've met at Bill's place. Nate, you've even been to Bill's place too. Like we've all interacted, and we know how awesome and how genuine that feeling is to be around people who love reptiles like us. It's like a whole nother big piece of what we do, and why we want to bring more of it together, you know?
Right. Who was it, Nate? I think it was, I don't know. We had a guest on, and they made the comment, and you know, I'd always thought it, but couldn't really say it in a way that they did. But they said something along the lines of like, everyone is always saying like, oh, it's all about the animals, and he's like, bullshit. Like it's about like us. It's about the community. It's about like, you know, connecting with one another just as much as it is about the animals.
Because, go ahead, Nate.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, I wouldn't have the species that I've worked with if it weren't for the people. It wouldn't, you know, I might have a snake or two, but it wouldn't be on this scale. I wouldn't have, you know, the podcast and my connections with you, Lucas, and you know, all of our friends in the Patreon. So it's just, it's weird to think about, honestly, if you remove the people.
Right.
But if you think about it, remove the reptile, there's none of us. That's why reptiles are like, what keeps us here is what you're doing with reptiles. Or even, you know, God bless you, man. Let's say you had a history with reptiles. You no longer keep them because your life just whatever, but let's say you do love them still, whatever. That's great. You could be a part of this, but it's kind of hard to respect some people that I've seen who have such a big voice in the reptile game who have a shitty history. Like I'm talking about like, what did you do when you were in the reptile game? Holy shit. Like you don't have really any much success, but here you are like kind of pitching advice. And I'm just saying there's people out there who have a strong voice, but, and you know, it doesn't always come from the right place because they're experience. Other people's experience isn't your experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just feel like what should be heard is what's relevant. Like people, who are you listening to that's doing something today with reptiles, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and no offense, because I do get a lot of people tell me, like, bring this OG on. And I'm like, and it's even someone I brought on before. And I'm just like, no offense, but like, how's that person relevant anymore? Like and I hate to say that because I do want to always carry on people's names but at the end of the day, like, the way I look at it is like, I like to keep things as relevant as possible. And if it's somebody who just left with a shitty attitude or just didn't have an impact, I don't, you know, okay, maybe a one-off, I'll have you on the show, but dude, I want people that are inspiring at this point. Like that's all I want are people who are inspiring, not people who are going to remind people of a negative impact that they had, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to, you know, remember our history, but to live in the past is totally different. So
Yeah, but also it's like to each their own. You know, one thing obviously that connected Trap and TheReticLounge was the whole Samson and shit that went down last year, and that's kind of like, what are you gonna do? You know, these are people that love the animals, and obviously we both felt like we just couldn't just turn the cheek on it. We had to fucking stand up on it. And I will say I didn't go to the extent as you two did, or I should say Lucas. But listen, don't fuck with people who love these animals. That's all. For me, like I said, I much rather ditch a few relationships to stand up for something I love, like the animals, if I have to. Like, I don't like, and it's crazy to sound because, man, what was that episode? I don't know. There was an episode where somebody could easily like shit it on Bob Clark, but they went around it so crazy. Like it was like a complete, like, whoa, how did you just not even like, you avoided that complete
danced around it.
Or I'm sorry, hold on, my bad. It was Bob Clark about Samson. That's what it was.
Gotcha.
That's what it was. It was Bob Clark. Like, I asked Bob Clark. Oh no, it was Bob Clark about Jay. That's what it was. I brought up about like Jay, how he went from one point to the reptile industry to like now it's like he has like a fucking a clown suit on every time, and it's like I can't take the guy serious. But also, like, I was trying to speak on my experience in the guy's breeding room and what I saw in 2019, 2018, and Bob just was like, nah. Like, he just was like, anyways, like, yeah, that's my friend, and he just kept it moving, and I was like, wow.
Bob's a professional, man. A lot of people don't realize how well spoken and educated Bob is.
Yeah, he's been around, man. He's the guy. Like, he's like, even Barchek used to say it, like, that's Bob Clark. Nobody bigger than that guy in this reptile industry, because what he has done, what he has laid out,
brought in,
literally the foundation of everything we almost work with as far as morphs. Like, it's crazy, you know. It's But anyways, it's just kind of how it goes. But you know, that's why for Bob to be around as long as he has, and you know, nobody's perfect, right? Eventually, you are gonna have, you know, mishaps here and there, maybe say something wrong on a thread or whatever. So imagine how many fuck ups you could possibly have being in the game for as long as he has,
for
right?
40 years.
Yeah, right. But you can't take that guy out. That guy's fucking solid as rock, bro. Like, good luck. Like, he don't care. Like, he knows the only way he's out if he takes himself out. Nobody else is going to take this guy out. He has businesses connections that nobody even knows of. And
no, I mean, he got pulled off a morph market in a month after he made over $1 million sale selling over to freaking
it's that easy.
to oh man, some
Germany. I think Germany or
Germany, or there was another anyways, but
but he's not worried about our local ball python retic market.
He's really not. But that's why I'm like, man, that's why, you know, I went through my ordeal last year too, when people wanted to freaking, you know, cancel me for being a bully. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, like, because I'm not gonna lie, it got to the point when my own sponsors were hitting me up, like, hey, like, what's going on? I was like, oh man, these motherfuckers, like, they found like what feeds me. And I'm like, that's not good. So I just thought in my head, okay, what if these sponsors all drop me and it makes me look too bad? I was like, you know what? I'll still be a sick ass reptile breeder. I don't give a fuck. I was like, take my pot, like, at that time. Now I know it ain't gonna ever happen, right? But at that time, when I was deep in my thoughts and like really like, holy shit, I was like, bro, you ain't okay. You think if you take this podcast, you're gonna get me out of the reptile game? You're a trip. Do you not know what I keep? Stupids. Like, people were so caught up thinking I just talk on a podcast where they completely forgotten about the animals I keep and like how long I've been keeping them as far as passionately and like to attention to detail. Like, I take this shit very, very serious. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit too serious. And I've had talks with some of my closest people, and I get it. Like, I'm trying to be more like chill about certain things. But dude, when something feeds you and when something is your livelihood, you know, dude, it's and I don't know why you wouldn't want to take it as serious as I do. But anyways, everyone has a different personality. I'm an intense person. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that. I could be intense, but I'm just very passionate and I mean well. I have a huge heart. Even though I'm very intense, I have a really huge heart and I do love people. I swear.
I believe that shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've had enough conversations about that as well. And I want to dig into a little bit more of the podcast here in a bit, but I want to ask you real quick, as we were talking about your animals, what like the list is probably, you know, too long to go through, but what have been some of like your favorite species that you've worked with, whether you have them now or you don't?
I mean, dude, what just really kind of just makes me think like, how do I own this on a daily basis? The monitors, I'm obsessed. Like, it's just because I know at any given point, like especially when I have Mac Dre out or if I have Alice out, right? Like, especially because you guys know my past for the most part. You guys know I've been through some crazy accidents, right? But in any given moment, this thing could give me some crazy lacerations, or it could bite me, or it just like my whole day that I had planned could just go a whole nother direction, like that. But it, it doesn't. And I read them and I know, hey, if one's in a mood, I ain't gonna touch them, right? So I'm always just on a basis of like respect what I keep, and I because it could happen just like that. And I'm somebody who needs that. Like, I need to be kept in check, like otherwise I get complacent and I'll get bored and I'll just almost become reckless because I feel like, what's the challenge? I'm not challenged anymore. But these fucking monitors, man, they're the best. They outdo any snake I've ever kept, and that says a lot because I have snakes. I have some snakes that we could talk about that I'm obsessed with, but when it comes to the monitors, man, like if you want to talk about something that would roll and that would destroy me, Mac Dre or Alice, that'd be equivalent to like one of my dogs dying, like Capone or Delilah. Like, that's how much I love those monitors.
I bet
it's nuts. Because I had one of my closest snakes just die to me, and I went through one crazy brutal day, and then the next day was like, it just like, I'm so accepted of like a snake that passes because I know that's, there's so many things we don't know. There's so many things that could happen, right? But also same with the monitors, and that's why it's like, I keep 200 snakes. I only keep 2 big lace monitors, and those right there are like my pride and joy, man. And I'm scared to breed them, bro. Like I just know. That's when the whole thing raises, like the bar raises with monitors once you start breeding them, especially with the female. And so I don't know, man. Like I just, and this is another thing where I love them too, because I love them as they are. I don't need to breed lace monitors. I really don't. I want to, don't get me wrong. But like, let's just say they're like, oh, not compatible. I would still fucking love them to death and love them as much as I do now. And that's great because there are some snakes, I won't lie. Like, I have snakes attachment to because of money. I won't that, and that's just, I love them because they're snake, but dude, god dang.
Oh, your mic dropped out, MJ.
Nate, while he's getting that fixed, can you pull up the monitors on his?
Yeah, well,
he hopped out.
Okay.
We'll see if he hops back in. But I was going to see if you could pull up his Instagram and pull out some of those.
Yeah, let me get that pulled up right now. I mean, MJ is one of those people that I follow. There's a European girl, obviously Stephen Cush, and then Cody Kopp, my buddy Aspen, who just keep tree monitors. Like, these are amazing animals. So I'm curious to talk to him because it sounds like he doesn't have the tree monitors anymore, and that makes me sad.
Oh, wait. Oh, if he didn't, I that's not.
He said the only monitors I have are the lace.
Oh, there's no way. We'll find out.
We're about to find out.
Man, that would be heartbreaking. He just got them. But
yeah, he's had his tree monitors for a while.
No, well, I mean, at least he got 2 black, or he got the black one when his baby was born. Which has only been like what 3-4 months or something like that. But so yeah,
I'm bad at keeping up on social media.
But yeah, just kind of talking a little bit about, while you're pulling that up.
Yeah, I'll have it in a second.
This is the reason why I love MJ, and I can, when me and him talk at Bill's or we talk on the phone, he's just always fired up when we talk about these animals, and he'll get defensive when it comes to like, talking about like the animals and what he knows, because he's got a lot of respect and love for what he does.
All right. So I have his Instagram pulled up. You want me to find the lace monitors?
Yeah.
So first off, I mean, we aren't doing justice. We have to have everyone follow Trap Talk God 619 on Instagram. Follow him over on the Trap Talk podcast over on YouTube, on
I'm gonna add
Spotify.
him back on.
My bad. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
What's up, MJ?
Dude, one of my USB adapter things is going out. Like I gotta replace it. It's just going out.
I used to have one like that, so I understand.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lucas. What were you gonna say?
No, we're gonna say we're just pulling up your Instagram right now to try to get a video of your.
Dude, I got 4 out of 6 tree monitor species, bro. I definitely have tree monitors.
There we go.
Cool.
Good.
I'm sorry. I meant maybe you didn't hear me, but I said lace monitors. I only have 2 lace monitors.
Oh, okay.
And I just kind of wanted to transition into, it seems like you're, focusing up on what really just you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And one of those things for me is tree monitors. And you're one of those people that have made me want to go for it.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of.
And so, yeah, we're going to, I was trying to get into like what it is that I guess this all means so much to me, but what means like the number one attention of mine every day is because it's no choice, or the lace monitors are so big and Mac Dre is something else, and so anyways, now project wise, if you want to talk about something that is just making me go nuts and basically making me want to transition into everything is the tree monitors. Yeah, tree monitors is fucking. I'm all for it. I'm like how I was with green trees, with tree monitors in 2018. Like I'm just on fire.
Okay.
I'm on fire about it. Like I said, I have 4 out of 6 species right now of tree monitors, and I'm looking to get them all at some point. And just fuck yeah, I'm super fired up.
I have yet to hear someone who owns monitors, whether they're the smaller tree monitors or they're lace monitors or Asian water monitors. I have yet to hear someone who doesn't just get hooked and absolutely just like fall, like they dive in the deep end with them.
Yeah,
look at that menace right there, dude.
Yeah, it's Ali. Something else.
That's so badass.
It's just it's something else, bro. They're amazing. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, when you have something that pays attention back to you, because at the most part we're dealing with snakes that don't want to have any kind of interaction. Like, some of them, don't get me wrong, like, a lot of the bold ones like Retics and scrubs, you have some snakes with personalities that are definitely like interested of what's going on when you open it, right? But monitors, it's like, man, there's just something with the I'm making eye connection, having it drink out of your hands. Like it's so awesome because you can just take a deli cup of water and put it right up to a monitor and it will just start chugging right there. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So,
and just eating, just everything. It just amplifies everything. I don't know. But it all comes down to space. Like my biggest thing is space. And that's why, there's a few reasons that we don't have to get into it yet, but like few reasons why I'm dialing down a lot. Like, well, let's
do that actually.
Yeah.
Let's jump into you dialing down, because from what I'm hearing is, and I think this is actually a great way to do it. Like you jumped into everything that you geeked out about and that you liked and everything, and you worked with them for a while, and you're in the process of downsizing. And I feel like it's okay to like be at a place where like you can with experience say, this is not what I want to focus all my time and energy.
Yeah.
So what's leading you to the downsizing, and what's going on with that?
It all started last year, with I don't know. I had a really bad fallout with an old friend of mine over a collaboration, and he was like kind of the guy why I was into the Super Dwarf game. Like he basically taught me everything to do with it. So that didn't make me feel too well. And then right after I had my collaboration with Eric Lee, that's when I noticed, like, holy crap, like what I had, and this was my bad. I won't lie, but the only reason why I even bred those things because of the money. I thought how much money I could sell these babies for, because they're going to be 50% Kalatoa anery combos like that haven't even been made yet. So I'm like, oh, these are going to be fucking tits, and like with marble and stuff like that. So I'm like, and then obviously I was comparing them to I was talking to a lot to Eric Lee as far as what he priced his shit at, and I wasn't even trying to price myself near Eric Lee stuff, but I was just so amazed on how Eric was fucking just killing it in the game with his prices. And I know people were buying his shit because I just know it. Like, dude, I know he was like the real deal and still is,
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, dude, I don't care what anyone says, man. When you breed a clutch of Retics, that's real work right there, man. When you have 19, so much 20 plus of those motherfuckers, bro, like every day, and You know, obviously we can't put them in fucking 4x4s right off the bat. So you have them in rack setups, and I don't care what, you know, even a ceramic bowl is going to get knocked over, like anything. Yep. And I'm a paper guy, right? For now. But paper is something that needs to almost be changed daily if it's fucked with, right? In a sense. So just a lot of work. And when you go from like, all right, you're going to hunker down and work with this stuff because you love it. And then now you're like, holy shit, what's going on with the market? What's all this talk? And then you realize like prices are just shooting wholesaling. Like, yeah, people are basically giving this stuff away now. And you're like, what? Wait, what? It just really, first and foremost, I'm like, you shouldn't be feeling this way. You should have no problem just holding everything back. And I was kind of like eating a lot of crow, but not too hard, because it just made me learn a lot too. Like, all right, first and foremost, are you going to breed this snake again this year? No, you're not. That's it. Last time I'm ever going to breed this snake ever again. I'm never going to do that. And you should never really do any repeat pairings that I wouldn't have. She's just an awesome snake. Like, she could breed. She does awesome. She was, you know, a great snake to breed, but I just don't want an overhead like that. I don't want to have an overhead of stuff that makes me drag my head down when I come into the room. I want to be like, I want to hop out of bed and just brush my teeth and come straight to the trap and get to work, you know? And I've had a rack full of 20 plus retics, and I'm like, God dang it. Like, this is, you know, you have to take some deep breaths and just go into it. And that was that, you know? And so I'm thinking, okay,
you know, that right there, just real quick, that is so validating to hear, just because I know I'm nowhere, like I'm not even close to like some of the level that other people are on, but I think after a couple clutches last year, and like it was last season when I couldn't ship because of the weather, at one point I had like, I think my most was 68 babies, and
no,
dude, it's a whole, it's like, you think you're gonna go in there and clean the other snakes. It's like, no, you got to have a hatchling day.
No, that's a dedicated day.
Yeah, that's a
I'm not even talking 60. I'm talking 20, 28. I think the most, okay, the first clutch I had, we had 38. No, I'm sorry, 32. And then the one me and Eric Lee had was the one was 42. And mind you, know, me and Eric Lee, we split ours right off the bat. So I only had about 21 or something like that to deal with. But even then, I had to dedicate just a half a day or something just for them, you know, just because, like, it's just, I don't know. But it was also made me realize, okay, like, what if you want, because you have all these scrubs, like, you want to breed scrubs, right? You know, and then I'm talking about Barnecks. Like, I have a group of 2.2 that are just like, you know, they're all breeding, ready to breed. And like, okay, what are you gonna do? What if these both go for you, which would be awesome? But then now you're gonna be that guy to have to go try to build a scrub market. And I'm just realizing how, like, I don't, in a more like realistic world, if I breed all this shit that I have, I'm not gonna be known for all of it. So I'm gonna have to literally almost wholesale this shit off. If, you know, in a sense, if I want to be like, if I want to be smart about it, because like no one's really buying anything from anyone that's not known for it. Like, you got to be known for your shit right now. Otherwise, you know, a lot of this stuff's not going to be being sold for what it should be sold for. Now, mind you, if I were to breed scrubs, I wouldn't want to put scrubs for sale for $500, $800. I would want to put a scrub for like $2,500. I would want to put it for a lot of money. Like, I would want to be like, because that's what it's worth, right? But also, am I that guy to charge that kind of money for scrubs? No, but Stephen Cush is. So Stephen Cush is taking all my scrubs.
That's not it's not a bad idea. It's a way to play it. So, yeah. And I feel like I'm hearing what you're saying in regards to, like, you're realizing, like, the stuff that, like, if you were to breed what you had, and like, if it wasn't an animal that you felt happy to hold back the entire clutch, you're kind of just starting to move out.
Do you want to know what it really is? I don't, and this is kind of like, well, this doesn't make sense because of monitors, but I don't want to work with stuff that's not that safe. And what I mean by that, if it's not that safe for me, how do you think it's going to be for the customer? Or how do you think it's going to be for someone that you're going to try to put this animal hands in? Because I'm a reptile lover, right? But even as a reptile lover, shit could go down. Like, life-changing shit.
Yeah.
An adult scrub python bite could be life-changing. Okay. Oh, yeah. An adult retic bite could be life-changing. Like, let's think about it, right? Like, my kid, you know, God bless Leonardo, when he gets to the point of opening doors and shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want him to, at most, maybe open up a chondro enclosure, and he'll take one to the face, but it's fine. It's okay. You know, like, I'll have
just the image in my in my mind.
But like, okay, and which is like, that's the worst bite to take one in the face. But guess what? I guarantee I don't take him to the hospital. Like, I guarantee like he's gonna be okay.
You have to hold him for a couple minutes.
He'd probably cry less than I would.
I'm just saying, like, I got to start looking at things that could really change it. I mean, there's things in here that can literally change the dynamic of everything going for me if something bad happens. And so, you know, shout out to Mark Bailey. I don't know if you guys know who Mark Bailey is. I talk about Mark Bailey a lot because he's my boy, man. He'll just hit me up like, hey, MJ, I'm coming down this week. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, come down. And he'll just come through and he'll walk through my stuff. And he's like, you got to start thinking about this stuff. And a lot of it is like, the scrubs and like the boa, even the boa constrictors. Like, even though I have some really cool blood projects and whatnot, what the fuck do I have them for? I don't know why I have them. I love them, but not that much. And so even my boas are all gone, you know, not yet, but they're going to be gone. You know what I mean? And so, and it's just also like, I am already spread thin. Like, I have a lot going on, and you guys know, I just now turned Trap Talk Reptile Podcast into a network. And that right there is kind of like, man, because I'm trying to be 7 days a week. No, I am going to be 7 days a week. Every day there will be a Trap Talk show.
I like that. You spoke it out.
Yeah. And I have to, like, you know, at least for the first year or so, be a part of every single show. So I'm not going to have any day off. Not that I have one already, but man, if I really want to focus this hard into what my career with the podcasting, then I got to be logical with my overhead with the animals, you know? And there are days, bro, where it's tough, like, doing all this, like this,
you got a lot in the podcast, man. I mean, me and Nathan talk about just like the work it takes to do the consistently once a week. And, you know, that's nothing on the level of what you're doing even before the network. You know, and obviously, you know, Nathan and I have other jobs and everything, and you're putting your energy into this, but it's still, nonetheless, it's a crazy, crazy amount of work. And then on top of that, you got your animals and you got a newborn.
Yeah. And my wife too.
You gotta keep dude, your wife is, I will say your wife is I just gotta like give her props and kudos as she supports you the way that she does. And, you know, Elise understands, right? She'll understand that I'm in the garage and everything, but like, you know, you've mentioned stories about her getting in there and like doing things and like how she supports you and doing it. It's really cool to hear.
I wouldn't be definitely, I mean, like, I'm kind of mad at myself for not even saying it in the beginning, but yeah, Lily's everything. Like, Lily is the hugest part of why I'm able to go as hard as I'm going now, because like she sees it. Like, I love her so much to where if she hated what I did, oh, man, a lot of this probably wouldn't happen. I'd probably be one of those husbands where I maybe not be doing as much, but she lets me go fucking ape shit. She's like, dude, like, I see you, man. And she's like, go, like, I get it. Like, and she's had a lot of talks. Like, the thing is, man, I want to say I'm so thankful for a lot of my sponsors, but I'm very close to a lot of my sponsors, and shit, more than half my sponsors talk to my wife. And, you know, we all like know like exactly what I want to do with this. Like, it's no secret, you know? But she doesn't have to let me be like so hardcore into it, especially with the animals, but she knows that's my fucking, like, that's my zen, you know? Because I could be overload, and then I could really just wind myself down and burn myself out, and then I'm just a mess, you know? And she deals with all different types of MJs. Like, I'm a fucking dude, you know what I mean? Like, I have good days, I have terrible days, and then I have okay days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just all over the board sometimes, and she loves me no matter what, like, every day. But also leads to like why I want to take care of myself. Like, I would like to be more evened out, but dude, I carry my emotions so thick on my sleeve sometimes, where like sometimes I have to spend a day to remind myself, don't get too emotionally involved over this, let it go. And then the next day I'm fine, you know? But in the mix of that stuff, like, don't fuck with me if I'm in the middle of something, you know what I mean? Like, so I just have and she knows that. She knows if I have, you know, something wrong with an animal or whatever, like something going down with the podcast, which I will say the only thing lately that's happened that what's going on, like, oh, what, are you upset is something happens to my animals. Like, it's, you know, I have so many goddamn passion projects going down in here. And anyways, man, yeah, shout out to my wife. And I want to say shout out to all the wives out there. Shout out to all the spouses, significant others. Thank you for letting us do what we do.
That deal with the crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, because we're crazy as fuck, man. Like, come on, I mean, we're not the average. I mean, we're average, but we're not. You know, we're kind of just fucking. We're out there.
Normal people look at us like the Tiger King people.
Pretty much,
right? Exactly.
But we're not gross, though. That's the thing. We're not like that's why one thing I want
some
people
of us
minus the meth. Okay,
I'm talking about us in here. Like, no, you're definitely. No, go to a Tinley. There's some gross ass fools for sure. But I'm saying in this area right now, like none of us smell like we're clean people. You know what I mean? But you're right. Like the average public, as far as how they look, we're creeps in a sense.
Just tonight, I went to a carnival with my wife and some of her friends and my daughter, and they came over. They met us at our place because it was right down the road, so we all carpooled there. And one of her friends was like, "Yeah, I want to go. Like, let's go see the snakes." I was like, "All right." And so we go in there and they look at the retics and everything. And they look at me and they're like, "Something's wrong with you."
Dude, I mean,
in a funny way, like, but at the same time, like, yeah, man, especially reticulated pythons, like going into like Bill's place, you go into Bill's place and you're like, damn, this is dope. You see a 12, 14 foot snake and you're looking at, and you have no knowledge on snakes. You're looking at someone like, you're an idiot.
So you want to know what you just said right now? I swear to God, this is true too. So you just said right now that your friend's like, what the fuck's wrong with you, right?
Right.
Dude, when I had about 12 mainlands in my room and I would walk in, I would say that to myself. I would be like, dude, what the fuck is wrong? Like, MJ, like, you need to like figure this out because you are not, let's be real, you're not this guy. You know what I'm saying? And only on a respectable level, because I knew how much work and just like, dude, you know what I'm saying? And so that Retic is an apex predator, man. Like, that's a powerful, like the aura, like the energy, like, it's in the room. Like, you get a good sized Retic, it's there. Like, something puts off like, holy shit. And then when you look at it through a goddamn whatever cage it's in,
and you see those pupils move back to you.
And then like, you being someone who doesn't really see snakes, you just don't know how big that thing really is. You're just like, oh my God. And It's a lot, bro. Like, that's why oh man, it hurt, but also was very easy for me to say, well, MJ, if you really want to be a breeder and breed stuff to want to bring people in to where you're not going to have much issues, you're going to have to get rid of these Retics. And I decided that not well before, but right before even the mainland market started crashing a little bit. Like, this was right before that started happening. But then I also was like, dude, the smaller Retics are my jam. Like, so I kept my super dwarf stuff, and I was happy to do that. But now look at the superstore stuff. And for the record, super dwarf ruined everything for me and Retics. At the end of the day, like, what I mean by that, I'll probably never really get into the game because of super dwarfs.
I want you to totally break that down, because I can agree with that on some level.
The name ruined everything for me, and it sucks. The name and the people work. I don't want to say everyone, because it's unfortunate. Eric Lee, this has nothing to do with you, buddy. But there are some people who took so much advantage of the name Super Dwarf and did everything in their power to even create cue cards and like all these percentages and all these like, you come into something, you see all these like quote unquote documents, you think, oh my God, has to be legit. Guess what? It's not. And what's crazy is that whoever it was that was doing this, more than one person, really took advantage of so many people for so many years that it caught up to the point where not only is it flooded to the point where everyone's doing it, but all these things are unmanageable for most of these people. These snakes are not 6-7 feet. These snakes are a lot bigger than they expected. They're huge, and so it sucked that these people attached super dwarf percentages even to something and made it seem like this is a guaranteed when there's no freaking guaranteed. I was caught, and I will say the first person who brought me into the Super Dwarf game even told me, he's like, I hate that name Super Dwarf because it's a marketing term, and these are just locality specific pythons. They're just locality specific reptiles from specific areas. That's all that is. But for me, all I saw was dollar signs. I'm not gonna lie. All I saw was like, wow, like, because even he was telling me how expensive this shit was going for at that time. We're talking 2018.
Well, and we all made those investments into it. And our pocketbook definitely knows the investment we made, and we saw those dollar signs returning to us.
But you just don't approach any Retic species with dollar signs, dude.
No,
I did. and I had to learn the hard way, man. And it sucks because, man, like you want to talk about a snake you respect, you know, the Retics, man. Like, say what you want as far as the backbreaking work, but when you have one out and it's in the sunlight, or let's just say it's soaking, you just love holding that thing. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not all wild and ape shit. It just you get some that can be like that. But then they're just a very awesome animal too. They're just
they're some of the best snakes to keep.
They're the best thing, but they deserve the best. That's what I'm saying. Like they don't deserve to be stacked on top of each other on against the wall. Like I don't think like they deserve like the way I see the way I see mainland being kept in an 8x3 or whatever is the way I see a croc monitor being kept in there. Like it's just not. It doesn't make sense, especially when you go to the reptarium and you see people like Barchek who has put fake trees in an enclosure that, you know, the tree's an 8-foot tree and it's chilling on, you know, we have an 18-foot retic on top of this 8-foot fake tree, just chilling at the very top, feeling some sort of security. I don't know what it is, but I guarantee it likes it. So I don't know.
That was one of our guests, Scott Sievers, that came on. Everyone always, like, I get asked probably at least once or twice a week by someone, like, you know, they'll see my like ARS pull-out rack that I have, like, you know, bio natural, that I have like isopods in there.
I thought that was cool.
I got that going for like the grow ups, and they asked me like, hey, do you know if that's possible for adults? Like a lot of people are telling me and it's not. And I'm like, dude, just hit up Scott. We had him on. He's got, you know, massive enclosures that have plants and got the whole setup going. And he's got these 12, 13 foot retics that are perched up at the top on a branch, you know, in a 4 foot tall enclosure. And it just looks so cool.
I mean, you could do it. It's just work. I mean, you got to have a training system. You got to have like, it's like zoo shit. Like zoos have it because they have a whole system and they have employees and it's everyday work. So, but mind you, you should like, I just told you guys why the lace monitors are so important to me, right? Because it's everyday work. And I have something where I'm attached to them because of that. And that is worth keeping. Like for me, the lace monitors are worth keeping. I don't want 6 more. I can tell you that. Like there was a point when I got them as babies, I was already thinking about another pair. Oh my God, am I tripping? I am good. I'm good right now. I mean, I might want to get another female, but not until we move, not until I have
monitors are a whole different level of
dude,
work.
They are. You know, I don't even want them in this room no more. Like they need to be outside. Like they need to, you know,
you're in the right place for it.
They are, but yeah, I am, but they're not. Like meaning like I'm not in a place where these things could escape. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be a good look. Yeah. And I wouldn't want them to, you know, who knows, you know, but at the end of the day, like I know how crazy I'm going to be taking my security for their caging outside and I know that there's the Avery cage, like that's an investment, Merlin. I'm talking, that's probably going to be like a $30K project. I feel like the way I want to do it, because I want to have something where they have like their own individual, like in a sense, mini chicken coop, but like in that coop that I could close off, they have their heat, they have everything they need. So in a sense, I really don't need to pull them in the house for anything. It's like fully like operated to where they could just be outside 24/7.
That's
and I know it's not gonna be easy to do, but I can do it. Like it's like that's what I want to do for them someday. Like that's like a huge goal of mine. And like if I had mainlands, that should have been a goal of mine if I'm gonna keep mainlands too. And I know I can't, like physically I can't. I don't have room for that for all my mainlands. So it felt right for me to let go of them, especially because I had a lot of pushers too. Like I had some snakes that just pushed, and I was so tired of seeing their face get all fucked up.
Dude, pushing is like the most stressful, reticulated python experience. I
know some of it's a personality thing. Like I know it wasn't all of them. Like some of them was just like weird about it. But I'll tell you what, whenever I had one that was doing it, if I gave them something bigger, they stopped. But once they outgrew that, they did that. They would do it again. But once I gave them to something so big that they were just cool with it. And so I don't know. I mean, the retics tell you something. That's why I love the retics. If they're like self-destructing, like if they are very unhappy with what's happening with their environment, they'll fucking fuck themselves up. They don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Nathan's got an experience with pushers. You know, I did in the past when I was keeping when I was doing the gradient style, not just keeping them in ambient in my garage. Pushing was a weekly, almost every other day type of thing.
That shit stressed me out. I remember when I would come in and see them like forcing their head down, I'd be like, dude, God, like I would feel like a piece of shit just turning the light off and leaving. Because I'm like, I'm gonna just because what am I gonna do? Let you out and just roam my room? No, I can't. So
Nathan, tell me that's not the worst feeling. It's just that like that gut wrenching when you see that force pushing at the corner of a tub or an enclosure.
I used to hit it like, stop, please, just stop it, go to bed.
That or just open it and just stare at them, take them out, put them back in after 20 minutes to them just starting to push again.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't.
And that's the thing about retics, like upper level intelligence, is a lot of people like one thing that I've noticed is, you know, your parameters can be off a little, or you might need to increase the meal size and they'll start pushing. But if you don't correct that issue soon enough, their higher level of intellect, they start to become obsessive and compulsive over it. And they, even if the parameters are perfect, but they have been pushing for so long, they will continue to do it. Like I remember the first time I got an AP enclosure and it had like that 3/4 inch gap from the frame of the enclosure to the glass. And my snake could probably feel the air coming in through there and thought it was a route of escape. And it just habitually like just started doing it. And once they start, man, it could be a difficult thing to curb.
Yeah. And so, like I said, at that point, I knew, and as I was talking to people, they're like, well, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Like, they're like, I deal with that too. It's kind of what you have to deal with. I'm like, well, I don't want to deal with it, and I don't want to see this. And I'd rather have this go to somebody. And I got really lucky. A lot of my mainlands, if not all of them, went to like perfect homes. Like and I have tabs on all of them still, which is great. But they didn't go to no randoms, which I was very like, I thought I was gonna have to go to like Craigslist or something bad for, which I wouldn't have anyways. But like, you know, I'm just thinking like, where am I gonna sell these? But luckily, like I have such a cool following, man. I want to say shout out to anyone who follows me on Instagram or the Trap Talk. But man, I had the most perfect Retic people, and even Burmese, because I had a Burmese too, man. I had Pebbles, who was a huge Burmese. She was awesome, but they all went to great homes, and that's all that mattered to me. I feel like that was a huge win for me. And even the scrubs, like it hurts that I have to let go of the Barnecks because I've raised them up since babies, you know, even baby Kush.
That hurts me because that's the next species I kind of want to dive into, and just to know that you moved them out, man. I can imagine how much that sucks. You still have that Xanthic though, right?
Oh yeah, the Moluccans I'm not getting rid of. That's a designer side of like, you know, like a chondro or something.
That's top end.
Yeah, and they're still like probably about 3 years before I would have to even consider putting them in something big and give them space. Like they're still young, you know what I mean? So
they grow slow, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe I guess I don't know.
At least compared to retics. I know a retic in its first year, you can get to 6-7 feet.
I would say compared to a retic, you're right. They do grow a lot slower. But yeah, with the Barnecks, man, you just want to talk about like an powerful snake with a lot of personality. That's definitely what a Barneck is. I mean, I rank Barnecks like supreme. I know a lot of people like love Bolins, and I've interacted and hold a huge adult Bolins before, and they're amazing. But man, you hold a fully adult grown Barneck scrub python with the head the size of your palm. It's like, what? And my female is almost there. That's why it's like, I can't believe you're gonna let go of this thing. But I'm really not. Steven's like my brother, you know. That's why I'm like, Steven's like the guy who, like, and for instance, I paired him up this year. And I was trying to, see what happens. Doesn't look like anything's happening. They're both smashing food. So, God bless. Go to Steven Kush and go do something for my brother, But either way, I just know. What was I getting at? Oh, so I'm just beautiful species, man, and very underrated, super underrated. I don't want to say they're as dangerous as retics. Like that's why I feel like they do have a chance. Like
I think you might be in danger of getting nipped a little bit more with a scrub, but the consequence of the bite isn't nearly as bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like my dad, I don't know if you guys remember this story, but my dad took a food bite from.
Oh, that's right, I remember.
10-foot dwarf. A proven breeder male, which I had no business owning at the time, but I had it anyways. And my dad got caught. And I told him, like, if you ever get bit, don't pull your hand away. Like, just sit still. And sure enough, he got caught and he tried to take his hand away, and it gave him 17 stitches from like all. Like,
dude, I
three inside of his fingers got stitches, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, it was gnarly."
I'll tell you this. I'll tell people the same thing that like they come and see my snakes for the first time and like about bites, and I'm like, yeah, you just can't pull back, and if you don't pull back, it's not bad. But I'm also the bitch that flinches every time a snake strikes at me.
Because
so
you can't help it. Yeah.
Dude, I can't, man. And if there's one thing in life that I could have, anything in life that I could have, is just to not have that stupid freaking jerk reaction. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I literally like I have like with defensive hatchlings, I'll put my like knuckle in front of them to like just work on it. And I can't. I can't pull. I cannot pull back, and it pisses me off.
Man, I love how you don't have to worry though about a baby Retic's bite. Like that's the cutest.
No, it's cute.
Thing.
It's so cute
because it's like, dude, your mom would put me in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like if I were to like, but it's like you just see this, but then eventually those teeth become a whole nother level. And yeah, I will say one of the best things I've learned. I feel like I forget who it was, but I remember. As soon as those damn SD, those 50% Calido Retics were born, I mess with them as much as I can, man. And every day, that's why I love those. I will say is because you could handle them every freaking day. Like the more interaction, the better with these snakes. And it's like, wow, like especially coming from the ball python game where everything's in a drawer and it just doesn't want to be messed with. And that's why I'm like, dude, ball python racks are legit because they love them. Like they want to be left alone. Like. That's a ball python's life. Dark, warm, left alone. Just leave me alone. Doesn't want no interaction. A Retic is not like that. It's a whole nother, like, it wants interaction, wants enrichment, wants to go outside. Like, it's just a different snake. And the babies kind of prove that. Like, they're just, they're
inquisitive as hell.
I will say it was, as much as it's unfortunate I won't breed. Well, I can't say ever. I'm not that old, but it was a cool experience, man. It was really awesome. It was way cooler than ball pythons. I will say that.
Yeah.
Seeing a Retic hatch was like 10 times cooler than seeing a ball python hatch. Way cooler.
Yeah. Let me ask you this to wrap up kind of reticulated python, because then I kind of want to get into some of your podcasts and some of the mental health topics. But when it we've had conversations in the past, and I'm doing a temperature check here, and I kind of want you to share, but moving forward, if you were to like get back into retics, whether it's to have like a pet or if you did want to do just selective breeding or something, like is there a retic or a type of retic, like a more for localities, like what would it be,
man?
Or would there be one at all?
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like, would there be one at all? That's the question. I don't know. I think I'm so good right now, but I will say, like, if it was me coming back in with knowledge that I have now, oh man, the locality shit is the way to go. Like like the Halmahera stuff or the Ternate stuff. Like a lot of the stuff you work with, Lucas. That's why I, after I met you and really paid attention to the shit that you had going on, I was like, this is kind of how I would have done it. Like I would have and had like maybe a little bit of more stuff here and there, whichever I really thought was relevant, but dude, the locality stuff where it's at, and like, not giving a shit about what's really a super dwarf, what's not. Like if it's a locality you like, get it. Who cares? Like this, don't mind about it being under the super dwarf list or not. I think that's just all, horse shit, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, I think and to go back on what you were saying, like on downsizing and like realizing that like, oh, there were animals that like you didn't want to like, you weren't okay with holding back the clutch, and that wasn't like how it was supposed to be. Like when you produce a clutch, like, you should feel okay with holding back animals. That's exactly why I'm kind of getting away from the morph stuff. And, I'm going to keep my ocelot, but everything else, like I noticed as I was doing the like, the work to clean the hatchlings, like any of my morph stuff, like, it felt like a chore, but every single time that I opened up a Pure Localities hatchling tub, like I could spend 10 minutes with each baby if I didn't keep myself on task interacting with them with the locality stuff. So, yeah, that like I feel that.
Yeah. I mean, But I will say though, like it's unfortunate that the retics are the kind of snake that they are, because if they were more on the more manageable side of the spectrum, like ball pythons are, dude, their morphs would smoke ball python morphs. Like the quality in a retic when it comes to morph, you can't compare it to nothing else.
Get
Like
better with age, don't drab out. Yeah.
Look at Shane from SC Constrictors, like his is it Orange Glow that he has, or
the Orange Glow Sunfire stuff.
What? And he's been working. I mean, that just shows you right there, like what working a quality gene year after year does. And that's why I love people like Shane, because there's, he is a proven point that retics still have a place on Earth here, obviously in the reptile keeping game, but you just got to have that certain passion for it. And that guy right there is, dude, he's passion all day, man.
I think that might be part of just retics being unmanageable, though, because I feel like you do have that still in the ball python side of things. I mean, obviously with just Jacob Ilka, you can't deny that selective breeding, but because it's so manageable, anyone and everyone can get into it. And so you see a lot of these python or ball pythons that hatch out and then just drab out and don't look great 3 years later.
Yeah, but it's like you said, you could actually get away with a lot with ball pythons, like stuff as far as neglect, and like just not keeping up with certain husbandry, and the ball python will look fine after you take care of it.
Yeah,
but you can't do that with the retic.
Yeah, that's true.
You're muted.
Oh, Lucas,
what a rookie! Just kidding.
Man, this year's been rough on him.
On me, you've had more than me. I'm keeping track.
I'm gonna act like you're still going.
That was great. Go ahead. What were you saying, Lucas? You're muted.
I was gonna say, retics are actually pretty resilient. And obviously pushing is a factor, but there are some that don't push. And I mean, and I hate to keep bringing this guy up after we talked about him earlier, but look at Samson Pruitt. Kept his animals in the most filthy, disgusting, nastiest manner that you can keep an animal, and he was still pumping out over 400 hatchlings a year.
Yeah, but they looked like they were about to die when they were breeding.
Yeah, quality is everything for me, man. And like, if I have one snake that has a bump or have like a discoloration on its nose,
it bugs the shit out of me.
That right there, I'm just throwing my hands in the air like you're a pet snake now. Like I can't sell you for how I want to sell you. And the thing is, like, that was, if you're not on top of your stuff, like, you're gonna get takes that push. And even as babies, they fuck themselves up, and that a lot of that stuff carries on. Like, I have a holdback of mine from 2 years ago that was like a little mini pusher, and she still has a weird nose, and so, like, that stuff doesn't leave them sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I feel that. I mean, I definitely think ball pythons are, they still so much more.
But ball pythons don't push their faces to smithereens. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like, you could okay, a ball python that has mites or shit or whatever, like, you could shed that off and it's going to be fine. A lot of these retics are resilient. They're like German tanks. They'll be fine, but they'll scar up too. Like, they'll still you'll still see things on them. And that's why it's kind of like, man, like, the mintier the better. I feel like I'm all about, like, dude, quality over quantity all day, every day. And if I can't keep something supreme, like top-notch quality, I just don't want to fall off that at all. Like, I want everything to be on point. Like, if you guys come over to my room, I don't want there to be not one thing I don't want to pull out. There were times where there were certain things, like retics, where I'm like, oh man, it's probably a mess in there. Like, I don't want to mess with that snake right now. And I want to be able to pull whatever the fuck I want out. You know what I'm saying? So retics are just sometimes where you skip those.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's just, I don't, and like I said, you just got to work with what you love. It's not that I didn't love them, but man, I just love so much other stuff currently. And that doesn't keep me up at night as much as retics would, So yeah.
So MJ, one thing I've noticed, just being a listener, being an observer in this industry, but I have watched your podcast quite extensively over the last probably 5 years or so.
Thank you.
And, especially pandemic, when I was going through my back surgery stuff, man, like, I had that sense of community through your show, Brian Cusco's stuff. And one thing that I always liked about you is you kept it super real. You weren't afraid to put your personality out there, even though sometimes it would, get your ass in trouble a little bit,
Yeah.
or just put you in a tough situation. But recently, I mean, especially since your child's been born, it doesn't seem like that stuff's coming up as much anymore. Is there a big reason in why you think that change has happened? What was the change of heart that really happened there?
I think last year. Well, I want to say not last year, the end of the year of last year. How the fuck do I say that? Hold on.
Yeah, like around the holidays, I guess.
Yeah, but not 2023, 2022.
Okay.
So
Okay.
The end of 2022, when I started doing a collaboration with Chris Eaton, Snakes and the Fat Man, I kind of inherited like his personality. Because he don't give a fuck. Like he will his stick is making fun of shit and just like,
he's a comic. He's a comedian.
Yeah. Right. But he has no relation to breeding anymore. He does not breed. He has no relevancy at all when it comes to that, other than his friends maybe, or in ball pythons. But when it comes to other shit, like he has no relevancy. Right. So when we collabed, I took what he had, right? Like, fuck it. If you want to go in on somebody, go in on somebody. And I did that. And I did that thinking, well, I have so many people that I would love to go in on. And I'm just going to just start doing it. And when I started doing that mixed with drinking, mind you, I don't drink on my show anymore. I am drinking tonight on your show. I appreciate it because it is the lounge. So we're lounging. So
we're chilling.
But man, I was drinking a lot back then, man. I really was. Every episode I was fucking drinking. But then when I had this whole like, okay, because me and Chris Eaton started the segment calling Nobody's Safe. It was all about like, say how you say it and I say how I said it, right? But if you go back and listen to those episodes, a lot of the things that I was saying was targeted against his own audience, because everything has a certain demographic, right?
Absolutely.
You have certain people who just want to like I want the most cutting edge. I want to learn how to grow. That's what you go to Trap Talk for. You know what I mean? Like you go find out how to fucking become number one in something. And that's no dig at Chris Eaton, but his audience was more of a like, I'm just here to fuck off and fuck around and talk about fucking sex and whatever, right? And that's not like I'm Reptile solely. Like I'm here for the reptiles. That's it. And he's here like for a comedy side, right? And a certain demographic of people. And there were just certain people in his demographic that I basically just fucking, had no business basically outing, I guess. And I did, which kind of sparked the whole feud of them now going back to, for whatever reason, man, it did enough to create a fuss within the industry to see that I speak my mind freely, but everyone looked at it as like I attack people, right? But if you go back during that time, man, almost every episode I'm fucking bashing somebody. So I don't want to say they were wrong. It was kind of a rude awakening, because I'm thinking you're spending so much time talking about shit that's bothering you when are you not focused on your own stuff? Like, do you forget about the animals that you're keeping? And mind you, my mind completely during podcasting, it's like I was more into just fucking going in on people. Like I was more of a Chris Eaton versus I'm here to learn about animals. I was doing both, but it was like, whoa, like I would transition, like I would go from like, wow, we're learning about so much about this and that. And then boom, I would talk
like
about
the
shit
like
that.
just snap of the fingers.
Yeah. But I did it so like how I just normally did it. Right. But I just realized I was given too much a fuck about stuff that just did not matter. And mainly when I won't lie, man, like once people found out that I have sponsors that fucking feed me, that feed me to where it's my full-time job, that's why I'm like, holy shit, you got to be careful. Like everything how you used to be, like the whole MJ, not that I've changed MJ, like I'm still MJ, right? But
absolutely, yeah.
But how I would like just like basically almost attack. I don't want to say I was attacking people, but I just didn't give a fuck, to where I almost had no explanation on what I was saying. It was just kind of like boom, and it was like holy shit. But mainly I was coming from somewhere with it. My delivery, I think I had a delivery then that was just not computing to the way I wanted it to, even though I was trying. And I'm not trying to say I'm blaming the alcohol or whatever, but I want to say my whole mindset then was just in the garbage. I totally lost focus on why I was doing a podcast. And once I regained focus, you guys saw how quick I bounced back. I bounced back fucking, are you kidding me? Like once I knew the sponsors I had were going to stick with me, and then I had new sponsors that replaced the fucking fake ones that dumped me, then dude, I was like, I still have support. Like I still have people that rock with me. Just clean it up. Like don't be so messy. That's it. And the biggest thing I did was quit drinking on my show. That helped everything. Because you don't think I still have those thoughts? Like you don't think I have those opportunities in my show where I could go in?
It's the filter though.
Yeah, right. I still do. You guys know I still talk, but I just don't do it the way it was offending people, you know? And I only offended the people who felt like, oh my God, he's talking about me. And guess what? I can't help that. If I'm speaking on something and you're like, is he talking about, well, dude, that's called fucking insecurity. That's not my problem. Like, and the truth really does hurt. We all know that. We know the truth hurts. I hear some truth that hurts me. Like I'm not like, you guys aren't alone out there, but it's better than not telling the truth. Like, that's why I don't understand. Like, do you not want to hear like the facts, or do you want to hear something other than the facts? Like but also it comes down to like, you know, let's keep it about the animals, you know, because nobody's perfect at the end of the day. Everyone has something about them, right? You don't have to you don't have to wish harm on anybody, but at the end of the day, you don't need to be fucking best friends, buddy with, like, go on about they go on about them, and that's it. There's all room for us to do our own thing, and you can pick and choose, right? And anyways, that's just how I do things now. I'm very mindful about things, and I'm very humble still, because at the end of the day, even though a lot of people, over 100 people tried taking sponsorships from me, like I still have it all, and I'm still like growing, and I'm still like, so like to have that experience to speak on and to stand on is like, man, like it feels great, but also keeps me like remembering why I'm here. And it's all about the reptiles. If I keep this shit about the reptiles, you can't fuck with me. You can't fuck with the trap. We're unfuckable when it comes to if I just keep things about the reptiles. Now, if I vert off and I go off the deep end and I say some crazy shit, then there you go. I'm vulnerable of become, you know, look at MJ, right? But dude, this is all learning experience, man. I've been growing a lot as a human, you know, and I know like I'm not perfect, but you know, I think it's obvious right now. We all know nobody's perfect, right? Like we're in a world where it's okay to like show that you're not perfect, but you got to work on it. And everyone knows, like you guys, I've just been working on it every day. It's a new thing. And me and Lucas, for sure, like Lucas, we've had passionate conversations over the phone, only because like either what I was going through at that time, but whatever, Lucas has felt how I feel if I feel like I'm not being like no, I don't want to say respected, but like, you know, if I feel offended, I'll pick up the phone and I'll fucking tell you I'm offended. You know what I mean? And me and Lucas have had conversations like that. And by the end of the conversation, we tell each other, I love you, bro. We're good. Like, we're fucking, I got you. You got me. And that's how you take care of things. You pick up the fucking phone and you talk. That's the biggest problem in this industry. They're too pussy to pick up the fucking phone and just talk and tell somebody. They rather let it eat them alive and they go to sleep the next day and it keeps eating them and eating them to where even if they see that person, they're fake. That's the one thing I hate is if somebody really has something to get somebody, but they come across them, it's all hugs and kisses, right? All because it's about money, and I get that, but I don't know, man. Like I think what makes us different from other reptile keepers who've been in this longer is like, I think we have morals. We have morals that stand taller than fucking business relationships. You know what I mean? If you're a piece of shit person, I don't want business with you. That's it. I don't give a fuck. And I don't care who you are either. Like, if you are not a good person, I don't want to give you money or get you money or help you be in business. Get the fuck out of here. That's the way I see it, you know? Because we have to be like that nowadays. We can't let more Samsons be created, or even like wannabe Bob Clarks. Bob Clark is Bob Clark, but there will be other wannabe versions of Bob Clark. There will be like that, and we got to make sure people know it is about the animals, like first and foremost, you know?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, especially going back on that Bob Clark comment, like a lot of people are chasing the Kevin McCurley, the Bob Clark, the Brian Barczyk. I want to make the message clear. These guys are founders, and there's never going to be anybody who touches these type of people, because they founded the industry. But I think that, I've seen how you've adapted. I think it was last year that you had a controversial episode that you lost a couple sponsors, and you were kind of speaking about that. And, I did notice a shift that you got more focused, to the animals, like you're in the trees, or what is it? Up in the trees Tuesdays?
Yeah. So how long have we been doing that for? I think I rolled that out in November.
Yeah.
But I've had Tuesday segments for a while. I think I've been doing Tuesday Trap Talks for 2 years now, which started Fat Snake. It was Fat Snake Tuesdays. That was the whole thing. And then it went to Tree Monitor Tuesdays, and then I went to All in the Tree Tuesdays.
I think that I don't know, you over the last year and a half, I've noticed you being able to strike a good balance between having an entertaining podcast that also has guests on that make it informative as hell. And I don't know, it's just, I guess it's refreshing to hear how you're willing to be able to see how yes, I went kind of off course and had to find your way back. I'm curious, you talked about the Trap Talk Network a little bit, and I'm wondering what's the driving force of this, and what are you are you willing to share any upcoming things that you have going on?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. So, what always stuck to me was okay, Brian Barczyk, huge, probably the biggest influence, because he vlogged every day. Every day there's a vlog, right? And I'm like, dude, he's been doing this for how long now? Just scratching my head. And obviously it went somewhere for him, because people, if you do something every day, even if you're not good at it, it picks up. Something happens with it, right? Maybe some goes further than other stuff, but whatever he did with that vlog, look where it went. Look what it led to, the legacy, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Brian Barczyk said to me, and I don't know if I've ever even said this, I've told people this, but I don't think I've said it on any podcast before, but this man, Matthew Summers, was with me, so he will back me up. But this was 2021, well over a year after I met him. But me and Matthew Summers came in after Tinley, went to go, we went into Utica, went to go meet Brian Barczyk and Noah, and he's like, let's go out to dinner. We're gonna go out to dinner because I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, okay, cool. And he was telling me, he's like, listen, he's like, I see what you're doing with the podcast. And I want to let you know right now, this is the future. What you're doing right now, this is going to be the future of everything. And I'm like, holy shit. And that's when he told me about checking in, and he wanted to start his own podcast and stuff like that. And then he's like, I have a position for you. And I'm like, what? And I don't know if you guys remember, but his Snakebite television channel, that is now the Reptarium channel, but that channel was dormanted for 2 years. He didn't post nothing out for over 2 years, and he wanted to bring back a Barstool style type show, a newsletter thing for reptiles, and he wanted me to do it. And so I was like, dude, what? Hell yes.
How do you say no to that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say no to that, but mind you, I didn't know how fucking much it was gonna be. It was definitely, I was way in over my head, But even that opportunity, I think I did 3 or 4, and then the editor who was supposed to edit all these ended up quitting or something, and that's where that just went downhill, right? But anyway, so I just thought, I'm like, dude, that didn't work out, but Barczyk told you about the podcast and he gave you props. He's like, you need to find another way to do another show. And that's when I was only doing Trap Talk with MJ. I was doing Trap Talk with MJ and Unfiltered. So I was already doing 2 a night, but on Trap Talk, I was only doing 1 show a week. So I was like, I need to do another show. So as soon as Barczyk told me that, I added another show, which was my Saturday International Trap Talk and Dab Sessions. So Saturday was my second show. And I did that for over a year. And it did really well. And then Sundays came along. I forgot what Sunday was, a monitor thing that I did. And then Monday was New Breeder. Hold on. I fucking completely forgot about Monday. My bad.
New Breeder on the Block.
Monday, New Breeder on the Block is the longest segment I've had running on Under Trap Talk. And it happened literally, that was the episode I started doing right after Bar Check. It was before I started doing international trap talk. And so anyways, and I will say
probably one of my favorite podcasts that I've ever been on was that the New Breeder on the Block. That was a blast.
Yeah, because there's so many awesome new people coming into this, and I know I've done quite a bit of like reach arounds on some of the OGs already, and I feel like the first year of me building this podcast, I only brought the most popular people on, and I feel like that's expected. Like that's how you're
trying to get views. You're trying to get people to come on the podcast. Absolutely.
But then when I realized, I was like, dude, there's so many fucking awesome people out there who I feel have potential and who already see doing big things. I'm like, I need to start bringing them on. New Breeder on the Block. And I also thought it was a good way to bring someone on who just got in, like somebody who just never even had a clutch, like somebody who doesn't maybe even have a rack yet. Like, I don't care how new you are, almost like the newer, the better type of thing. Right. And then that kind of like, oh man, I don't want to know how real I want to get on this right now. I will say right now, I've made some mistakes recently on some New Breeder on the Block guests, only because I brought them with the expectations of them knowing more than they knew, and only because they portray themselves that way. They come off like they do know their shit. And so, and I shout to my boy Emilio, man, Emilio Villarino. He's my co-host for Monday nights. My dog right there,
dude. He does a great job. I love listening to him. He's
like super slept on when it comes to like respecting OGs in the game. He doesn't like to call himself an OG, but he's been around the ball python since 2009, 2008, and he's seen a lot. Ralph Davis and like all sorts of stuff. And I can't really speak on a lot of stuff that he can. So he helps me out a lot by being a part of that episode, but also he challenges me to ask challenging questions. So does he. And so I just want to do a better job of bringing New Breed on the Block people. Like, meaning I feel like people who are doing their homework good enough, who could answer questions where it seems like, okay, at least you know why you have the species that you have, versus like saying you want to dial down, but then you're buying a bunch of shit. Like, it's like, what the fuck? It's so, I don't know. Like, there's just some people out there where you're like, okay, remember, it's easy for people to paint a picture that they're really not. And so, day by day, I have to be okay with that too, but god damn it, man, just relax. Like, it's about the animals. Like, it's not about you. And I feel like one of the things 2020 did was bring a lot of people who are good at social media and are using the reptiles to gain their fucking their image on social media. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at a lot of those guys, they suck at keeping reptiles. Like, they really suck. And it's unfortunate, but if you look at any big Instagrammer, TikToker, dig deep into their husbandry, it sucks. I will say the best person out there killing it on social media, whose husbandry is next level and can teach you how to do bioactive, is Armin from Herp Time. That's the fucking guy right there. And I will say, shameless plug, bring that guy on this show if you can. I recommend bringing Armin on this show.
We'll take any recommendation from
that guy right there, bro. And he's a busy guy now because he's doing a lot of stuff with Rami and Jay, and he's partnering up with some new stuff. But that guy right there he's the man, bro. So, anyways, yeah.
The network. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Are you, so right now you got Cush's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
Les Stephen Cush. We had him on, and that's where just, already I was obsessing.
Else, huh?
Dude, I mean,
you want to talk about passion you could just feel off the internet, like off the screen. Like,
I just wanted to talk tree monitors the whole time. I love scrubs, but I was like, man, I could just dig so deep right now.
His tree monitor, he might not have tell you this publicly, and I'm sorry, Stephen, but his tree monitor boat has sailed, unfortunately. Like, it drained him. He did so much trying to figure those things out with Reptech for years, and now that he just has all this other shit, he's okay with it. He still loves them, but like, dude, the tree monitors did a number on him.
No, and that's how I feel about monitors with me. That's why I haven't,
dude. They're not easy.
That's why I haven't jumped in. I don't have the time and energy for them right now.
I respect you for that, bro, because there's people.
Because I want them.
I talked to 3 different people over the weekend of Tinley who bought tree monitors from Susan, and two of them bought one from Susan, Brian Tucson, and one of them bought one from Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And these are ball python people, right? And they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get another species," and I'm like, "Dude, you just got one.
Just work with that.
Go set it up at home.
Love that.
And if it's eating off your fucking hands, and it's good, Okay, then let's talk. But don't, dude, you need to calm down right now. Like, this is not the thing to speed up on, because you're going to find out.
It's not ball pythons, man. Monitors are different. You cannot grow.
I want to have my cage ready for probably a year before I get my animal.
Relax, Nate, that's too much.
No, I want to plant this shit like top to bottom. I want it to be like a centerpiece. Like, I don't give a shit about breeding them. I just want this to be like what I can sit in front of and not waste my time watching TV.
Yeah, I mean, dude, to be honest, like, I have 6. Like, okay, you know how I have my setup behind me, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have a new wall that I'm designing because I'm gonna have space. I'm getting rid of the scrubs and all my vision cages, and what's gonna be replacing that are tree monitor cages that are this style, and I'm gonna have 6 of them just stacked on each other. But like, now that I have an opportunity to build these from scratch, like, you don't know how bad I want to deck these things out. Like, so what you're saying is very true, but dude, I'm not an arts and craft guy. That's a thing. That's why it kind of scares me, because I'm not good at drawing.
I'm not creative.
I'm creative, but I can't do it. Like, I'm good at telling somebody, and they, you know what I mean? And so what one thing I've seen that a lot of sick ass monitor keepers can do are like that textural background, like that concrete mix,
right?
Where they could build ledges and shit.
Not
that right there, I feel is so fucking vital and crucial. Just certain ledges that are like even slanted, because it's all natural, and the ways. And I'm talking mainly for a gravid female, because when those females ovulate and they got so many eggs, yeah, they hang, but they just need places to be as comfortable as possible. And I do know that all those options are so crucial to just having success with tree monitors. Because I'll tell you right now, man, if a tree monitor is not happy with its surroundings, it's not gonna. They'll decide not to go. They'll just say, I'm not gonna go. And that's crazy to think, right? But a female will refuse to fucking go into cycling if she doesn't want to go.
Especially when they breed multiple times a year. That's saying something.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyways, it's a lot to think about.
You got Cush's Corner. Are you willing to share like what you got coming up?
Yeah, you want to know all of them?
I mean, if you're willing.
Yeah. So okay. So let's see. So let's start from the top, right? So Monday nights, New Breed on the Block. That's my show, right? As far as you'll see me in that show for now. Tuesdays, All in the Tree Tuesdays. Marshall Mendez and Bill Stiegel, Ryan Young, a bunch of other people come by. Wednesdays,
dude. I'm sorry to interrupt. Ryan Young's a fucking hoot on that.
He's something else or what?
He's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan Young. He is something, and I have something in the works with Ryan Young that I can't speak on. But yeah, shout out to my boy Ryan Young. Thursday nights, Trap Talk with MJ. That's the main night. That's my main night, right? Friday nights, super excited about Friday nights because I feel like it sucks because not that it sucks, but I don't ever talk about it because I don't keep these. I'm done with colubrids, right? So we're old enough. I think we're old enough to remember TGIF. Do you remember that back in the day on TV? Thank God It's Friday. It was Full House, Family Matters, and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I created TGIC. Thank God It's Colubrids. So Thank God It's Colubrids on Fridays, which is going to have Junior JMG. He has him twice a week, and then the other 2 days a week is going to be going to my boy JD Joe DeStefano and Alvaro from Clover Reptiles, who they too already have their own colubrid hognose type podcast going on. But yeah, Friday nights is all dedicated to the colubrids. So that's what I have that for the Friday nights, and then Saturdays for the monitors. So Saturday morning,
that's nice.
Yeah, all monitor talk with Mike Stefani and Jen Black.
What?
Yeah, they've already done
getting on there.
Yeah, we've already had their first episode. Yeah, so their next episode is this Saturday, this coming week, which is going to be with Brian Waterloo.
Are these all live?
Yeah, these are all live. Yeah, these are all live. And so Sunday, I can't really spill the beans on Sunday yet because it's TBD. I can't tell you too much because this next one. If I were to tell you too much, it's kind of like my biggest blueprint on how I'm going to get Trap Talk to the next level. So it's very secretive. It's also like a delicate subject as well. So I got to be careful on how I even roll this out. And I'll give you a hint of like, what's MJ talking about? But if you just look at the show I did last Saturday, I'll give you a hint.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back.
Saturday morning.
That's exciting. I mean, it seems like you got a good lineup coming up. And I'm interested to see how it all plays out. And again, big props to you for doing all the legwork and really like just, getting the people on and committed to it. I'm excited to see what it does for you.
I'm excited to see that I have people excited for it. And that's my whole thing was I was like, okay, if I do this, I have to find people who are excited just like I am, because what's the point? Like, you got to find people who have a passion to want to speak. And it's hard to find those people who aren't really relevant. And I know there are some fucking relevant people out there, aka Mike Stefani, Stephen Cush, Jr. from JMC, who could fucking really speak on some facts where I don't have to worry about what they're saying, because everything that they're saying is so valuable and it's so important. But it's just gonna bring more together, and more importantly, it's gonna help them get bigger. Like, it's just not about me, man. Like, it's just about so much other. Like, first off, Trap was all built off me bringing the best of the best, right? But now Trap is about having the best of the best speak on shit, and and it has nothing to do with me other than the brand, right? But I know only so many people could take so much of me. Like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, right? Like, because I'm loud. I yell, not intentionally, but I'm just a loud person. I'm always energetic. There's some slow ass people out there who just don't want this much. They're just like, yo, like, chill. And I don't know how to do that for them, but I got other people that can. So
I love the insight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge chess move in a way to where, okay, I get it. MJ, you don't like, but wait a minute. Stephen Cush, come on. It's Stephen Cush, right? Yeah. And I've already seen, trust me, you don't think I'm paying attention to the comments? Go look at some of the comments. There are already people coming back commenting that I have not seen commenting in like 2-3 years, and I get it. Like, I am who I am. Not everyone's going to fuck with me, and that's fine. But it just shows you that there's this room out there. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to even the playing field on Trap, not only with what I speak on, but just I want to cover everything, man. Like, I want everything to be covered. I didn't mention also I have like a pet segment that I'm going to be doing as well. So, somebody who's doing it right with the pet keeping side of things and the bioactive.
I love that aspect, because one theme that I see happening a lot, like with reptile podcasting, and a couple of my Patreon our Patreon members are always talking about this, is it's difficult for them to find a podcast that they want to listen to regularly, because it's always about breeding, right?
Yeah.
The pet side,
a lot of people don't want. I mean, not a lot, but some people just don't want to breed. Like,
yeah, and not only that, but like, they don't care to know about the ins and outs. And when every other episode is all about like breeding information, they get checked out. So to talk about the pet side of thing and bio-natural or bioactive side of things, that's huge.
Yeah, it's just it's a part of what we do. Like, that's another thing I learned. Another big thing that helped me during the whole MJ's a bully, let's cancel him, was it connected me to some pet keeping people. Shout out to Kayla, Jujube Snake, or God dang it, what's your name, Kayla, out there? Anyways, she's from Canada, and she just has a huge influence on the pet keeping side of the industry. And her and I had a little tiff. And during all that, like, we were able to speak, and we came together and we did a show together, and it was awesome. And it just shows how, like, man, like, even though you do love breeding and you're trying to make a legacy with these animals, as far as breeding goes, there is a lot more other reptile lovers out there who have no relationship to breeding, and they don't want to breed. They just want to keep it and just be happy. And God bless them. We need that. So you got to feed everything out there, man. And so I just know that there's some amazing people out there killing it with all these segments. That, like, every topic I want to cover, I know the best people out there who are doing it, who could speak on it. And it's just a win-win for everybody, especially me, because I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie, can I be honest? I'm tired of doing shows, man. I really am. I'm so like, I'm not burnt out, but I'm like, I'm very golden brown. Like, I'm just like, I'm like that stage before sunburn kicks in. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, holy shit, because I've been doing 3 shows a week for over 2 years now.
All live, which is it's a whole different monster in and of itself.
We do this every Friday, and we get those points of golden brown. So when I look out and I see those 3 podcasts over the last 2 years, I'm like,
insane.
I don't know how I mean, yeah, you have a lot more, you're a lot more energetic than I am just naturally as a person, but I'm just like, damn, I don't understand how it's sustainable, but you've fucking done it, man.
Yeah.
Let me, I want to segue into kind of a for some a sensitive topic, if that's okay. I want to talk about just general mental health. You've had me on, an episode before where we were going to talk about, locality retics, and, for about 30 minutes, we had a conversation about mental health. You've also mentioned, mental health struggles in other episodes, and even just earlier, on this episode, you talked about kind of some of those struggles that you've had. Nathan and I, have both been pretty big advocates for discussing mental health, and we've done a couple episodes where we've talked about it.
Well, and I think my only time where I had any tiffs with MJ were both at a time where we probably were at pretty weird mental health stages in our lives.
Yeah.
A couple years ago at Tinley, like I think like I was definitely going through some shit, and then like MJ, I could only imagine what you were dealing with, but like I take a lot of shit personally, and I got a cold shoulder that weekend. Like anytime I was going past you, and I should have noticed, and who I was with noticed that it wasn't just me that this was happening to, but I took it personally, and I was like, oh, fuck that guy, man. Like,
Yeah.
But and that kind of hurt me too, just because like the first NARBC I went to, like I'm a quiet dude. Like you'll find me alone in the crowd, like having a drink and just observing. You came up to me with Bill, and you congratulated me on my first retic clutch. You just let me know, like, hey, those animals are quality. Like you just pumped me up a bit, and that was big. And then to go to that Tinley a couple years later and then just have that experience, like it sucked. But I think like having that perspective now of like, oh shit, like, I was in a bad place, you had some stuff going on back then that you probably were dealing with too. So like, I don't hold that against you at all. And we've talked a tiny bit about it, but yeah, it's definitely something we want to bring up tonight, and just kind of hear your ins and outs of dealing with your own mental health.
Yeah. What's nuts is like, I always knew there was like a bit of an anger thing with me. Right before coming into the Reptile game, and only because I had one of my closest friends that I was DJing with, and like he would always tell me like, dude, like you're kind of intense, bro, and I'm like would always like kind of shrug it off. But then I remember like there was one time something happened, and like he had like a conversation with me that made me just realize like, dude, am I really that intense? And I was like, fuck, like you are, like, man, you're very aggressive, like just the way you talk. And mind you, like I said, my past, like just kind of like the things that happened to me and the things that I've had to done, and like almost the way I feel like I need to carry myself only because I have like, I have this much drugs on me and like whatever. Like I always felt like I had to act a certain way, right? And I carried that with me coming into the Reptile game. But mind you, like the people I met, like I'll never forget, I met Miguel, right? Miguel Garcia was the first person who was like not only like the nicest guy ever to me, but like also told me like, dude, I have a past, man. Like, I was like 5 years ago, was my life. And like, I was like, really? And I was like, holy shit. And like, and while he was telling me that, like, I was literally on the verge of breaking up with Lily because she was finding drugs in my drawer still. And like, after me promising her that I was done and I wasn't going to sell, like, I was just like, I was like, dude, I was wild. Okay. I was still wild, but I was over it, but I didn't know how to give up. And so Miguel was like the first person to like show me like, bro, you do things right in this, and mind you, had other ventures that made him real successful, but like, hello, why would this guy be wasting his time in fucking ball pythons if he didn't believe in it, right? And mind you, he took me and Lily, who was my girlfriend at the time, to fucking Mastro's. First time I ever went to a Mastro's in Beverly Hills. Okay, I'm talking like a $2,000 dinner, like he paid in cash, and I just couldn't believe it. So that having that right there, I was like, I fucking like, Oh my God. And basically anything that guy taught me, I listened to, but I treated him like fucking gold too. Like I never let anyone talk shit about him because he was like getting hated on the ball python game at one point, and I stood up for him. But what I'm saying is like I started being good to people who were good to me, right? And mind you, like Nate said, like there was a time and place where when I started going to shows, if I didn't really know you or have a relationship with you, I almost didn't give a fuck. You know, I had that attitude where I was like, because mind you too, like I dealt with a lot of trolls, like dealt with a lot of people I always dealt with trolls as I was growing in the reptile game. I always dealt with motherfuckers who said they want to fight me, they want to do this, they want to do that. And I was like,
Bob Smith, right?
Like, I mean, you need to tell the story of Bob Smith, but I'm just saying, like, dude, like I've always felt like, who the fuck's okay? Like, what's up? You know, but man, none of that was even close to the truth. Like yeah, people are going to try to get in your head, but ain't nobody going to fight you at a show. I've come face to face with people who aren't even trolls. Like they're real people and they still didn't do nothing. So it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what's there to be like, what's the chip about on your shoulder? Like, and mind you, as I was getting friends with like more older people, and I don't, you know, shout to the Lost Boys, man, but like Bill Stiegel, Gary Chavino, Marshall Mendez, even Justin, like having personal hangouts with them and traveling with them, like, come on now, like what's there to like be cool, like just be like, oh look how cool your friends are, like just be cool. And so that's why, Nate, I'm not sure what was going on. I do know when we first met, you were fucking so awesome. You introduced me to your girlfriend, and you told me like, man, I really loved your show and it was great. And I can't deny that maybe I was a dick to you after that. I'm not, but
like I said, man, like I was going through some shit with her back then. We split shortly after that show.
Yeah.
You had some stuff going on. So like, I think it's a little bit of both of us.
But I do know though, because I was like, last time I saw you come around, I was like, I got to let this guy know that I'm happy for him. You know what I mean? And so, and you know, whatever I was thinking that made me want to think that or say that, I'm glad, because it just, how much is it to really compliment somebody when they have success with something? Like it's, and look how good it makes them feel. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like success in the reptile industry should be really complimented. Like you should really compliment anyone you follow who has success with anything, because that's why we're here, to have success with reptiles. And so I know how long you've been at it, and I know how long or how much you love it, you know, first and foremost. So yeah, man, it's just I think my like, you know, the people I surround myself with have helped me grow a lot. And even, you know, my Patreon members, you know, like I gotta be a role model for them, you know, even though I'm not sometimes. Like I'm like Lucas, you know, like I'm very, like my Patreon members know me. Like if you that's the advantage about joining the Patreon, is you get to know MJ, which isn't maybe sometimes a good thing, but you get to really know me. If you ask some questions that are fucking just like, what the fuck was that? You know what I'm saying? So
my favorite thing is when I wake up and check my messages on Instagram in the morning, and you go off on like your 30-second like rants, like, but there's like 4 or 5 of them in a row. You know, one thing that I can appreciate is just, you know, from Nathan from your side and MJ from your side, is just willingness to kind of lay the struggles out on the table. I'm curious, MJ, you know, have you know, some of the mental health struggles, you said that you struggled with some anger, you know, as you were coming into the reptile community, but I'm wondering, you know, me knowing how much stress, you know, can impact one's, you know, thoughts, emotions, behaviors, choices. I'm wondering, you know, you've taken on this role of doing this podcast, and this is your way to make money. This is how you put bread on the table. This is how you feed your family. And, you know, what mental health struggles have come with, you know, actually, you know, doing this full time and pursuing it?
I feel like the hardest thing mentally was like, all right, you want to be you, right? You got to deal with what comes with it. And I try to, you know, I don't want to be fake right now, but I try to make it seem like I don't give a fuck how people think about me. But deep down, I do. I think
we all do.
I think we all do, right? I think we all do. Like I can't control. Like, here's the thing. I know there's people out there who have a certain way on how they think about me, and if I were to give them proof that that's not true, they wouldn't care anyways. They like, there's just some people like, no matter what you tell me, I don't want to like you.
Yeah,
and
you can't change
like,
someone's mind who's not willing to change.
It's like black licorice. Like you're not gonna, you can't make me eat black licorice if I don't fucking like it. And that's why I know I'm that kind of cup of tea for some people, and I don't press the envelope, dude. Like I've had people who say, MJ, I love so much what you've done, but I can't watch your show. Like you're fucking too much. And I'm like, she's like, but they tell me to keep going. They're like, dude, but keep going. I'm like, thanks, you know, but it is what it is, right? But also too, like, and all, man, I would say that me trying to get canceled, because like I never really gave a fuck about comments. But when I had, because I was trying to figure out, okay, who is who? Like at that point, when I had people who I was close with going to my sponsors and talking shit, that's when I was like, I need to fucking find out who was who. And I started really, because people were going live about me, people were doing podcasts about me, and boy, did I see some people who had a lot to say in those threads who never even once came to me and told me anything, right? But dude, that type of shit was eating me alive. Mainly because these were people I would see all the time at shows. And now I'm like, here we go. Like the one thing I preach, don't be fake, right? But what am I supposed to do to all these people being fake? Am I supposed to just fucking talk shit to all of them? No, I can't. It's going to make me look bad. Like so I was struggling. What the fuck do I do? All I could really do is take mental notes and just keep doing what I was doing. But that was dude, a lot easier said than done.
Dude, I was going to say staying silent.
Dude, it was hard, bro. It's hard.
It's tough. I mean, and Nathan's had a running joke with me over the last few episodes. We've been talking about my engagement on Facebook and social media.
Oh man,
man, if I make a comment, right, and someone, you know, receives it wrong or whatever the case may be, and they come at me, it is so hard to just not say anything back, and that's nowhere near to the degree of, you know, people going live and doing shows about, you know, that episode.
My problem is still to this day is I put too much faith into people who put faith into me. And I mean, what I mean by that are like the fair weather fans. Like I have people who show that they have faith in me until something maybe happens, and then they're quick to lose the faith. Like they're quick to fucking, okay, never mind. Can't fuck with you no more because of that. Right. And that's natural, but for me, if I fuck with you, I fuck with you. Like it takes a lot for me not to fuck with you if I fuck with you, right? Mm-hmm. And I just saw so many people for years who fucked with me, quote unquote, who were so quick to not fuck with me over something so fucking ridiculous. Like, and I couldn't understand it, but it was something where like you don't have to understand it. Like it is what it is. Like, is it going to stop you from doing your show? No. All you can do is take the notes of what happened, take mental notes and keep it moving. Be a professional. That's it. Because I knew at the end of the day, like what could stop MJ? MJ. That's it. And you know, it was something where it took some backbone, and I struggled on some days only because it hurt, dude. Like it hurt. Like I'm talking like people like Lucas, like you being my homie, and we're homies too, Nate. But Lucas, like it would be like you fucking like jumping in on a live that I don't even know that's happening. They're talking all this shit, and you're like, yeah, fucking MJ. You want to know how I feel about MJ? And I'm like, what, bro? We just talked 2 days ago. Like, what
coming out of left field, it's
and it's like, and I just saw a lot of that, bro. But also that's the reality, bro. Like and I already know how people are. Like they're only gonna love you as much as you either do something for them or as long as it's all favored for you, you know, like they're just people out there who can't make decisions for themselves. And that's fine. And it is, all I know is like, man, like some things you can't force or help in life. And I'm happy that and that's also why I'm so transparent. Like, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not perfect. And I know, I've laid the bed that I lay in. Like this is me, but also like, I have no regrets either. Like this is, like, think about how many people who get fucking attacked for speaking the truth. It's just kind of what comes with the territory of things.
Right. I mean, can you, I mean, Nathan and I, you know, got some shit, you know, with the whole Samson stuff and us putting that out. Like, imagine catching shit for making that public.
Well, what's crazy is like, not to go back and like kind of bring up Chris Eaton and shit, but The people trying to cancel me are people who listen to a podcast of somebody talking nothing but shit and bashing other people. So how in the fuck does this make any sense to go after me, who just called somebody a brown noser? And I went in and I went on Sean Bradley, was a known parasite then. I got nothing against him now. God bless you, Sean Bradley, if you happen to stumble across this. But I have, me and him have, bridged our differences, and I got no issues with the guy. But I'm just saying, like, no, that was pathetic. That was a true fucking example of, like, when you're just so upset about someone's success and you want it to stop. That's what all that was. They were trying to stop me in my tracks, and they were trying to use being a bully as a fucking example when, like, we're talking reptiles here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. At the end of the day, it was kind of like, whoa, what the fuck is this happening? But I'm so glad it did, because all those things I just talked about that I learned so much from it. And I learned who my real ones are and who the fake ones are, on a whole nother level. Because I thought I had real ones, and I found out that those real ones were real fake because of this situation. So everything's a blessing in a sense, bro. Like, you just take it for what it is, and here I am. Like, I'm fucking more stronger than I could ever be. Like, look at the support that Trap Talk Network has. It's ridiculous.
Well, I think the trials and also you just sticking to being nothing but pure MJ is what keeps people coming back and has sustained your podcast over the years. I'd say probably without a doubt that you're the most human reptile podcast that's out there, just because there's, who MJ is when you watch your show.
It's MJ Unfiltered, man. Like, if you came out with a show, MJ Unfiltered, like, that's what it is. And there are people that don't like it, and there are people that will talk shit about it, and he only talks shit about people, or he only, he's not about the positivity of things. But at the end of the day, like, you've also brought things to light that people didn't have the guts to do. But
what's crazy is, Lucas, what you said is, like, man, like, you had so many people saying that all I do is talk shit. Like, that's all this podcast does is talk shit. But really, like,
it's far from it.
If you listen to what the guests have been saying for the last 4+ years, bro, like, shit talk was like maybe 8% of it as far as what's really being said, only by me, not even a guest, by me. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, okay, whoever's talking shit they're not even listening. Like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, you give people any reason, and that's what they're gonna do. So that's why as much as I'm like, MJ, fuck these people, like, still go in, it's gonna deteriorate all the good I'm doing. All the reptile knowledge is gonna be shadowed by everyone saying I'm a bully. You know what I'm saying? If I keep this up. That's why I was like, dude, and that's why I don't need it. Ever since I stopped caring about other people's poor husbandry, poor podcasting, poor whatever, the list could go on. I just been having so much fun. And that's what it's all about, having fun. When you worry about yourself and you worry about what's happening behind you and in front of you, dude, it's fun. And I've been doing this. I've been worrying about me and what's around me and all that for over a year now. Dude, having a great time. It's the best. It's the best. I love it.
That's, I mean, since I saw you at that Tinley, that's maybe what the best lesson I've learned is, take care of me, live for me, and everything else will kind of fall where it needs to.
Yeah, right. And dude, my last Tinley trip, I was on 8. I was ready to break, man. I remember that trip home, I cried, only because I knew Barchek had cancer, and I was like, and we met in person, and he was in pain and all this stuff in front of me. And I was and I remember at that time, obviously knowing that Lily was like 4 months away from giving birth, I'm like, fuck traveling. I don't want to leave anywhere. I'm miserable not being home. And I remember like telling my wife, I'm not traveling for a long time. I'm like, just so you know, you don't have to worry about me going to nothing for a very long time. And she was very happy, but I've been happy too, man. Like, and I know I got travel plans this year, but I've been so happy, man. Like, just, obviously I have a lot of reasons to be happy, but when you just keep your focus solid, and not just, it's easy to get distracted and it's easy to worry about something that doesn't matter, but don't go down that rabbit hole, man. And I don't have time to go down rabbit holes like that no more. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm not even keeping up with my vlog right now. I hate to say it, but my vlog is bi-weekly when it should be weekly. Yeah, shut up. No, but dude, like there's like I have to streamline. Like shout out to Mark Bailey again, but he's like, I remember when Leo was first born, and I want to say after the first month, I was fucked. I feel like everything was going downhill. And he's like, MJ, he's like, you're not used to this. You need to start scheduling your stuff, start streamlining. He's like, you're used to just doing whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And yeah, dude, there's so much stuff I have no time for that I never really did, but I was doing it anyways. Like the whole just fucking off and worrying about people and comments and like it's just so just not work. I just don't have the time, dude. Like that's straight up what it comes down to. And I'm glad because I got to keep my mind like with my mental state. Like it's almost like my mind is almost addicted to negativity, dude. It sucks.
All of ours are. I mean, like, I can go down the psychological component of it. I won't, but yeah, we are all geared towards it.
It's more like the positivity is like you have some people out there who say, I hate water. I can't drink water, which I can't understand. I love water, but there's people out there like mainly unhealthy people who can't drink water. And I'm like, what the fuck? But dude, that's like me and positivity.
That's a great analogy. I love it.
It really is.
Sucks, but and I know the more positivity, the better for MJ. But for me, it's like, ugh, like it makes me cringe on some of the stuff I just need to look at and be like, be happy at it. Like, don't. And I'm talking about like anything that happens to me, like just looking at the brighter side of things. I don't like to do that. I like to be like, fuck that, and like hit something and break something. And then after hurting myself or breaking something, am I like, okay, let's let it go. You know what I'm saying? But I initially need that. And I don't need it. I'm just telling you, like, I always feel like I need negativity for the positivity, but you don't. You could just be stacking positivity all day. And that's why I do my affirmations, man. I want to say another shout out to my boy Socrates, who changed my life. Because Socrates was the one who taught me how to write stuff down, say stuff to, like, if you really want something in life, say it out loud. Like, tell yourself every day that you want it.
Write it down, read it, look at yourself, say it.
I've been doing that consistently for 2 years now. And that's, I thought he was a fucking clown at first. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, you know, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And then eventually I realized like my worst days when I had nothing to lose, I'm like, this is the worst day ever. I write shit down, say affirmations. Boy, do I feel better. And I just do that every morning, man. Even if I feel great, I still do it. I still write it down, you know? And so, you know, it's just part of growing up, you know, but you have to here's the thing, guys, like, you know, there's people in my life who I don't feel like they ever wanted to take that step to fucking be better. Like, I feel like there's people in my life who I love dearly, who like hit a point where they feel like I don't need to grow from here, but that's not the case. Like, dude, we always need to continue to grow. Like, there's never a place in anyone's life where you're just like, I'm too good to grow now. Like, no, like,
no, you've become stagnant if you hit that point.
Yeah, and I think that's an era, like, are my parents and like the people like in those era, like I felt like, oh, you got a family, you're good. You're no reason to take care of your mental health, no reason to take care of you. Like, anything that happens, brush under the rug. Like, dude, that's the way I was raised, you know. But like, dude, we all had mental issues in my family. We were all fucked up. We were. And just because we just had
join the rest of us.
Yeah, and just I'm saying, like, there's a lot of people out there. Like, I'm not the only one, obviously, but yeah, dude, it's just crazy. But you know, my parents did their best. I love my mom and dad, and I struggle more with my mom, you know, but my dad's like my best friend. Like, he understands me, and yeah, dude, I just but like, you know, I know my dad's never done, like, you could tell my dad do affirmations and be like, fuck the fuck, like he'll you know what I mean? His affirmations are fucking vote Trump. That's his affirmations. My dad's out there, dude. He's weird.
45, best alive.
Oh, dude, my dad. I mean, my parents. You know, me and my parents. We were born in Chile, in South America, and I mean, my mom is a little bit more kind of like up to date about, you know, mental health care and those kind of things. But you know, my dad, every single time I see him, and you know, he you know, me being a therapist, he always asks me. He's like, so are you making a difference in people's life? Are you making people feel better? And I'm like, yeah, let's not go down this road, man.
Yeah, but see, I just feel like that shit didn't exist to my dad and my grandma and grandpa, who were like, you know, they came from Mexico and stuff. Like, they were just all about how to survive, like being immigrants who were obviously got my grandma and grandpa got their papers legit. You know what I'm saying? But still, like, that kind of generation was just all about how to just stay established. But there's just so much more to that. Like, you know, like, how do you keep how do you keep anything established without your mental health? Like it's going to deteriorate. Like no matter what you have going good for you, if your mental health is not taken care of, whatever you have going good for you will fucking just go to shambles. Like it will disintegrate because we're the operator. Like we're number one. Like that's why, you know, I don't blame people who say, "Oh, the reptiles are number one, the people are." Well, I get that, because how do the reptiles stay here? The people, like it's up to us, right? But think about, I don't know, I don't expect you guys to know this, but you know how many people I know who made millions in this reptile industry who are either alcoholics, homeless, convicted like murderers, like dude, like people who just went off the deep end because they never took care of their shit.
I mean, aside from that, you know, obviously like murders and that's all like obviously not good. You know, but if you think that your mental health is, you know, if you don't take care of your mental health, your physical health falls apart.
And then you're not taking care of obligations in your life. And when you're talking reptile keeping, that starts to affect our animals too.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, you know, has any of these big mental health issues ever come in the way of animal care?
No,
I know for me, like, you know, you were talking earlier about the retics being the ones, like, if they're not in that like safe space to work with, all right, that's the one you skip. But
Right.
I feel like that same kind of mentality comes into play when it's you.
Yeah. Dude, the way it comes down to, man, like the one thing about the reptiles, no matter how fucked up my mentality was or like what was going on in my life, working with snakes is what snapped me out of it. Like, and even the retics, okay? Like the retics, even though out of everything I once worked with, like, okay, give me an example, right? The worst job I ever had was the last job I ever had was working for Office Depot. I was a general manager. Okay, never had any. Only retail I ever really had was working for Verizon, which wasn't really retail. It was different. It was like cell phones, right? And I was a salesman and I was a manager for a little bit, but that was it. I've never ran a fucking retail store ever. And Office Depot was a pretty big store. But the worst thing was it had employees that made minimum wage and they hated themselves. Like it was this really depressing area to work at. And I'm supposed to manage all these people, right? I had like 17 of these people under my belt. And after a while, I was just like, I hated my life. Like I legit hated, like I would get off of work at like 7 and knew that something would happen before I would go to bed, meaning at the store or something, right? And then I would wake up at 3:30 just to get back at that store at 4 and deal with the same complications over and over again. It was just always complications, right? I just started hating my life. Like, but what was crazy was I would work these 14-hour shifts, think I would have nothing left. I would walk into my snake room and I would have the second wind and I would just work another 4 hours in there, almost like longer than I had to, because I just loved being in that room. And I knew I had plans. The thing is, like, you have to manifest things, guys. I mean, for me personally, what most I just want money. And even though I never really knew what that meant, I just always wanted money. And and I'm talking about, I don't give a fuck how I get it. I want that money. And so that's why, you know, I didn't really see a clear picture when dealing drugs because the money was so good. God damn, I didn't even need a real job. Like, and what's crazy is I even faked having a job for a long time because how good the drug money was, you know, but none of that shit. Like, I didn't, like, my investments, there was no investments. Like, I didn't know how to move the way I'm moving now in the reptile game, right? So, yeah, dude, like, it was me, but obviously, like, you know, my purpose, like, people just gotta have a purpose, bro. And Mark Bailey even also tells me, like, man, just be happy you have a purpose. Like, some people live their whole life without having a purpose. And that's crazy to think, but that's also very true. Like, some motherfuckers, like a goddamn machine, like a robot, wake up, go to work, go to sleep, do the same thing for 40, 50 years, and then they're dead, you know? So,
I mean, it's a sad way to think about it, but you know, that's kind of, you know, that's what the American dream has become, right? It's kind of just been
work
you know, nine to five, and you know, you retire, and who knows by the time we retire, Social Security is even going to be a thing. But you know, I wanted to make a comment in regards to like how you approach husbandry, like in mental health struggles, and how you were able to like just enjoy being there. I find myself in the same place. Like, you know, when I've gone through struggles and everything, I put more time into like the animals. You know, and I think the biggest reason why is because when most of us struggle with like mental health issues, the easiest way to like, you know, to feel better is to avoid it, right? Like, we don't sit in it, we don't observe it, we don't understand it, we don't study it.
yeah.
And so what we do is just kind of, you know, we go to the next thing that's going to fulfill us and take our mind off of it. And so you can, you know, for some people, you can get obsessive over being in your snake room or you know, with your reptiles. And, you know, I think that, you know, for me, when I go through struggles, you know, I'll find myself more in there, but then I have to kind of like reel myself in and be like, yo, you're like, you have an issue right now and you need to address it, and you need to sit with it, and you need to work through it instead of dumping, you know, additional. Now, and when I say additional, I'm talking about, you know, we're all cleaning cages and everything, you know, daily basically. But when you're in there more than normal, right? Because you just don't want to face what you got to face.
Right.
You know, and I found myself like having to be like, okay, well, let me take some steps back and, you know, sit with the things that I have going on. You know, I'm curious for you, MJ. You know, I've talked about, you know, I think when we were talking on your podcast on the locality stuff, and I've mentioned it in a couple of our episodes, you know, I'm a little biased. I'm a therapist, so I think everybody should see a therapist.
Right.
You know, but I'm curious, have you ever gone and talked to someone, or, you know, have you ever taken like that step towards trying to figure shit out?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even not give props to like me taking 3 years of therapy. I think it was 2020. It was right after, it was right after Home Depot. I'm sorry, Office Depot. Right when I left Office Depot, trying to think what it was, but something encouraged. I think my wife, she was like, "Do you need to go see a therapist?" I'm like, "Okay." And so I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Mendez, really cool guy, man. I saw him for like 3 years. No, like 2.5 years. And then I saw another girl. I saw a girl after him, but then I got like not attached to him, but I was like, dude, I like talking to him. Like, that was my homie. You know what I mean? And so when and I also felt like I came a long ways too. So after he left and I just didn't have that connection with this girl, I thought, okay, I think I'm good. And I think I'm just going to like detach. But no, I think I need it again. I think therapy was really, really good for me, only because I was speaking to someone who has no like attachment to my life, like they're non-biased,
unbiased,
opinion,
exactly,
and not even like they don't know my wife, so they can't really favor my wife when I say shit. Like, it's all about just fucking like even playing field, and that's what I want. I always feel like people favor shit too easily, and so I get offended off of it. So that helped me out a lot. I saw a psychiatrist for a little bit too, but I didn't want to be on meds, you know, and I was on meds for a little bit, and it just threw me the fuck off. Like, it slowed me down, and I'm like, I don't want to be slowed down, but I do want to talk about my issues. So talking about the issues helped me out a lot. Meds wasn't my thing, but just therapy, man. I did do a lot. I did, yeah, just about 3 years of therapy, I want to say. And I do want to do it back. I do have staring at a couple numbers here, and I'm supposed to be calling them and scheduling, because I think I definitely want to reintroduce that into my life again and just speak to somebody. I also think it was, for me personally, it was impactful, and I do need to do it again. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where, and a lot of people typically wait until the breaking point to go and talk to someone. And I think that
was almost me, bro. Like I was literally like, right. I remember leaving Office Depot, and I was like thinking like, now what's the next job? I'm like, God, fuck this shit. And I was just so down on my luck. I felt like, and I was so negative and just, oh man, I was dwelling, like super dwelling. So I felt like I was at a breaking point, really.
Right.
And then Lily could feel it too. So I was like, and also like anything that affects me and Lily, I'm going to fucking, I have to address, because I knew like how much she means to me. Like I won't let anything come between me and Lily, So if I have to address it, I have to address it. So yeah, she definitely helped me and encouraged me to go see therapy. And I'm just like, it's like almost like, fuck, I guess it's a good example, but like, I had someone who cut my hair for like almost 17 years. Like this person always cut my hair. And after they stopped cutting my hair, like, am I technically never supposed to get a haircut again? No, I got to get a haircut, but man, that's
how I felt the one time Nathan cut my hair. I was like, how am I supposed to let anybody cut my hair again?
But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to just move on. Right. And that's why it's like, I have, I will say one of my biggest pet peeves to this day is like I hold grudges way too long. Like and that's why also working with the reptiles, it helps me like, all right, let it go. Like let that shit go. And so one of my biggest things I work on is just letting things go, because I know being who I am and doing what I do, there's going to be things I see and people I see do shit that offends me. I don't want to say I'm easily offended, but I do get my feelings hurt easily from people I think that support me, and I know that's going to continue to happen, but I gotta let that shit go, But me, man, I'm just used to like, fuck that. Like, I'm just having a mentality where like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna let this person know that I know that they don't know that I know. Like that type of thing is what I'm like in an MJ world. That's what I would like to do, but I just know that like I'm in a different place. Like I can't do that shit no more. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Before I let Nathan get to our Patreon questions, kind of one of the most like, on that topic of grudges, I think that like one of the most like substantial things that I've come across and I've read and that I implement and like just, talking to people, and, one thing that has also helped me personally is like holding grudges doesn't hurt anybody but the person that's holding them.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I heard that, it was kind of like very, it was just eye opening, if you're the one holding the grudge, you're the one carrying the weight of the frustration, the anger. And while this other person's probably bullshitting around and just kind of messing around and having a good time, and you're over here just spewing and just frustrated. And
I'm gonna say something right now that, and this is a great episode, great pot, and you could edit this out if you want, but leave it if you want. I don't give a fuck. What I'm about to say is 100% real. This isn't a fake story. And actually, like, just a reminder on how you shouldn't take things so personal. But Chris Eaton, we talking about Chris Eaton more than I wanted to on this damn episode. I'm sorry, but shout out to Chris, because me and Chris, we got no issues with each other. And oh my god, I don't know where I was gonna go. Oh yeah, I found it. Sorry, that happens almost every episode. But like, Chris Eaton did he did a pop-up live saying like, like fuck MJ, like MJ like went on this whole thing when I'm like, dude, what, really? And so I kind of took it where I'm like, yo, you could have easily called me and we could have talked about this, but you're choosing to take this other route and being petty. And so we went back and forth a tiny bit, right? And one thing he said one thing to me that I took very personal. Okay. And he says, dude, he said, dude, you have mental issues, right? Because I do, motherfucker. Like, so that's fucked up for you to say, right? For you to say, and that's obvious. But what I said to him was like, hey, at least I have both my legs. All right. But mind you, like, I said that so quick, like, okay, motherfucker, I have mental issues, but at least I have both my legs, you motherfucker, right? That made me feel so bad. Like, after I said that so quick, like, that made me feel worse probably than it made him feel. Like, because Chrissy is it's kind of hard to make that guy feel like shit. Like, he's fucking built for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If you can't dish it out.
Honestly, bro, that destroyed my day. When I said that to him, I was like, oh my God. Because like I am trying to be this like, come on, don't go full MJ on people, and like don't go there. And look how easy I was to say such a fucked up thing, and dude, yeah. I think I waited a day and a half before I hit him back and said, dude, I am so sorry. Like, I know but I told him like, we actually got on the phone after that. And I'm like, listen, like it's obvious that I have mental stuff I'm working on, but it's just as obvious as like, you only have one leg. So don't be fucking coming at me about mental issues when you only have one leg. That's all I was trying to get at. Like, you should be worried about your own situation versus coming at something else. And that's why I went off the way I went off, but it didn't make me feel good. So all I'm trying to say is anytime you talk shit back, you never win. That's why it's not even worth talking shit back. And I'm going on 39 years old. I should know this, but that specific situation with Chris, the last time we had a little tiff, which I hope to God it's the last time, that made me realize, like, dude, stop talking shit, man. Like even though you're good at it, MJ, even though you could say some things really quick to fuck somebody up, stop doing it. It's like, it doesn't, because all it does, it makes you feel worse. And it does, man. Like, it really, like, this goes back to me clowning my sisters, like all the way, like just me, like used to having to talk shit. It just makes you it devalues yourself. Anytime you have to go out there and make fun of somebody or come back at them, it makes you of a lesser person, not the way someone else looks, but how you feel. You devalue yourself inside. Yeah. So, and I've been doing this my whole life, man. I'm a shit talker, bro. Like the way I'm raised with, being older guys and like my sisters, and like, you got to be quick on your toes. Like, you got to be ready for yourself, man. You know what I mean? But also it's kind of like, there's a time and a place, and I just know that my shit talking is a little too serious. Like if MJ's talking shit, it's like, man, he's gonna get personal. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way I hate playing like that. But that's just how MJ plays. So I'd rather just not play at all. Like, I'd rather just not talk shit. And as I've been continue to focus on not talking shit back, it's just been an easier life for me, bro. And I hope that wasn't too much about what I said about that example with Christine was just letting you guys know how much I am over responding and trying to like talk shit back, because it only affects me now. It makes me feel like a piece of shit. And I am in a place where I don't want to feel like a piece of shit no more. And I don't want other people to feel like shit either. Like, we're not in a time, we're not like, why? Like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, you titled this raw, so I said it. So.
No, I appreciate it. And I mean, just the fact that we covered a sensitive topic for most, and there's still a stigma around mental health. I appreciate you being willing to share your experiences, and I'm gonna let Nathan kind of go on to our final Patreon questions here that we have for you, and then we'll wrap up.
I just wanted to say, like, I think it's super important I don't see why we would ever cut that out, just because I think it's so important for people to see how you were able to work that kind of a situation out.
I hope instead I don't get canceled for laughing.
I mean,
Lucas, you remember the message we signed on the mannequin leg.
Exactly. I got a relationship with Chris. Hopefully he could take it.
Yeah. Chris knows us well enough.
And so do I. The reason why I said that is to let you guys know there's nothing between me and Chris that isn't good.
Right.
Like, we spoke over the phone, and like, at the end of the day, I have feelings. And that's, but also I have to remember responding and just kind of going into something that isn't going to make me feel good, isn't worth it, and also, like, dude, there's some people really down on their luck out there right now, man. And there's this, I know there's people out there who may deserve some shit that for whatever reason, but man, they're already down, dude. Like, they're already down. Like, and I keep sometimes forgetting, like, the people talking shit to me or whoever are like so down on their luck right now. And it's kind of like, man, that must be a fucking shitty place to be. So I almost kind of just like, dude, let them go through it. Like, let them they'll figure, because you know how many people since me want to be canceled have come to me and said, MJ, yeah, there was a time I didn't really like you, but you've come a long ways and I like you a lot now. Oh my God. Like, so they all come to fruition at some point, You know, they're just down on their luck. And when people are down on their luck, they look at all the shit. Fucking what's negative around me, or what can I talk shit about? Oh,
yeah,
what did you say? What did you say about their son, MJ? And that's all it was. And so, but yeah, dude, that's why I'm like, man, I wish everyone out. First and foremost, anyone out there struggling, it's not forever. Like, I need you guys to fucking dig deep and understand that what you're going through in life right now is not permanent. It's not forever. It is up to you to make a change, but I'm also rooting for you out there. I don't want to, I mean, because I've been there, dude. I've been there. I've been sleeping on my sister's couch, like fucking not knowing what I'm gonna do, like broke. Oh my God, I've been there, man. So I just, and I know I didn't know what I was gonna do at that time. So anyone out there listening really bad on their luck, I'm just saying, I'm gonna pray for you guys. I'm rooting for you guys, and yeah, that's my biggest thing is like, don't make their life worse. Even if they're trying to make your life worse, don't even go there with them. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
great,
good message.
So I guess now running into Patreon, Jordan Carpenter, I'm sure
what
you know
a guy.
him.
Shout out to Jordan. I love that guy, man.
Yeah, Heartland Reptiles, one of our new
sponsors.
Good guy. I feel like that guy's a really bright future in the industry, only because he just has it. I feel like, I don't know. I mean,
he cares and he's looking for something that'll solve a problem.
For sure. And he puts a lot of attention into the detail. So shout out to Jordan.
So he wants to know if you could keep, of any species that you're working with, if you could only keep one, what pair would it be?
Oh man.
I feel like just us talking earlier, I feel like I know the answer to this, but
yeah, I feel like I do too.
I mean, if you were supposed to take everything away and I can only keep one, I mean, it would have to be Mac Drain Ellis. I can't.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't
it's kind of like that. And it would suck because I'm going to be hurt. Whatever you take away, like, I'm very connected to everything in this room. I hope you guys understand that. Like, even letting go of the scrubs, I mean, it's going to Steven. Like, I mean, they're not really leaving. I don't look at it like that because they're going to Steven, right? But everything in this room, I'm fucking super attached to. That
still sucks.
It does, but
I get it.
But if I want him back, Steven knows if I want him back, I can get him back just like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I could get him back like in a better timing. Well, all I'm saying is I'm so connected to everything in this room. But that's how it should be. Like, if you keep something living that's not being asked to be there, then you should do your best to give it its best life. And the only way I know that is personally making sure their water's fresh, making sure they're shedding good, making sure they look good, making sure they're eating. I mean, I maybe do it more water changes than most, but
I was going to say we could have done a whole hour-long podcast on just talking about water changes.
We did an episode after that whole issue got brought up way back in the day
on water.
Mark Bailey's like, oh man, he's like, if you put as much time as you do in water changes and getting a temp gun and reading your chondros, you'd have more success with chondros. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Mark. But he's like, because a lot of people look at like they're animals, like they'll be fine at like a couple days, 3 days. But I'm like, why even wait? Like, and dude, I will say, I also said this on a show that a snake who has water in their bowl for more than 3 days won't drink out of it. That's not true. I did see an emerald the other day really take a fat chug out of a bowl of water that I have not serviced in about 3 days. But I'm like, dude, but wouldn't it be nice if that water bowl was just changed? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I'm only looking at it on like how much I love water. Like, I love water. Like, I fucking love water. And I don't know how many times you guys ever had a moment where you love water. Like, you guys ever have
even just drinking the cup that has been sitting on the nightstand overnight. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'd rather have that fresh.
I'm still the guy that'll walk up to a public water fountain and fucking just enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, I was raised off a hose in the fucking backyard, man. I'll never get playing for so long where I'm like just looking for anything to drink water.
Anything.
And I remember certain hose water would taste better than like others. And I remember getting a good hose. And I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, I don't know if it was the material the hose was made or the metal, but I remember this is the kind I like right here.
You're connecting me to my childhood way too much right now.
Good hose are the best.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to the water drink. But yeah, I mean, because dude, I can, like, I'm home all the time. This is my full-time job. So like, why not take it to the extra step if you can?
Yeah.
And I never want to, and I know people who listen to like my whole water change rants, my daily water change rants, are like, okay, I mean, I have too much going on. And like, well, I understand that, but then that's why I don't keep more than I can handle. I want to make sure I keep just enough where if I have to change the waters in that day, I could fucking do it in 2-3 hours. Not that I like can't do it within the week.
I change waters 3 times a week for the entire collection. Is that okay? three times. I'm asking you as the water guy.
Yeah,
3 times a week.
Like that's perfect because like you're always, like if you're doing at least 2 times a week, there's never a time where that water is going to be more than 3 days old.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like, you know, I don't do every day for sure, but I do at least like 3 days. Like, but then there's times where I come in, I'm like, why is there a little fucking mosquito in your bowl? I'm giving you new water. Like if I see something in the water, it's getting changed.
The worst part about bedding and Repti-chip in general is, man, when I see a chip in there, the moment that chip, like any type of coconut chip gets in there, starts to dye the water.
Are you guys sponsored by Repti-chip?
No, we're not. I mean, I use them. I use them because we're here in San Antonio. It's local. And
are you guys open? Are you open to a potential substrate sponsorship? Maybe.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I say who I recommend then? And I can even link you guys. I have no problem doing it.
Do it.
But the chipper, dude, check out the chipper.
Dude, I saw that little. I saw that, and I went. You know, I started doing that deep dive. Is it fat chunkiness? Like, is it good chunks?
It's the big chunks. And the reason why, at first I'm like, oh, I don't like the big chunks. But dude, that's the stuff that's more than likely not to get swallowed by a smaller snake.
That's what I'm looking for.
Right. And the humidity. My biggest thing with this new cocoa chip that I'm fucking obsessed over, and it's called Cocoa to Go. It's already broken down in a bag, and it's a bale, right? But dude, one good spray, and that humidity is consistent for fucking 3 days. I love it. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to like, oh my God, here we go. Another day of fucking spraying. And one of the biggest things I've realized having the all in the treat segment is that our chondros, our emeralds need fucking humidity, bro.
Yeah, 70%.
70 plus on a consistent level. You know what I'm saying? And if you're in a dry area, that's really hard to do. So Cocoa to Go by the Chipper. All right. Shout out to Chris. But that shit right there, bro, save time. It's amazing. The quality of the cocoa is good. It's just next level, bro. I'm gonna hook you up with Chris and see what he can do. Because he's trying to branch out. He wants people working with different species to be rocking with this shit. And
I saw you mention him, or I saw one of his posts where he clipped a little, video of you talking about it, and I did a deep dive, and I've been curious on getting some.
We'll talk. I got you. You too,
Yeah,
Nate. Take care of both of you guys.
Well, I'm a paper guy, and Lucas has been trying to talk me into betting for the last year and a half.
What I'll say about Nathan being a paper guy, dude, Nathan is like the definition of hospital, sterile,
super clean.
Dude, I mean, Nathan can hear his snake shit in the middle of the fucking night, and he'll go and change his Nathan.
Not in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, though.
You can smell a fart though. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yes, I can.
Anything on paper.
This is a small little duplex I live in, MJ. I can smell it.
Dude, I do not miss those days of like just smelling dude, I used to walk into the reptile room, or even in the garage when I had the garage before I switched over to bedding. Dude, there was times I'd open up that door and I'd be in the garage, and like my wife would walk by 30 minutes later after me opening the door and be like, what the fuck? Like she would flip out.
Yeah, it's something else. And honestly, Nate, to rock your world right now, bro, fucking I've been fully paper, but then not fully paper, but always paper involved with my substrate for going on 7 years. And I'm going to fully convert to this cocoa now. And and people know I'm always had paper involved when it comes to my substrate.
I kept on substrate back when I had ball pythons and everying. It's just the P-load that I get with my retics is the only thing.
paper is almost a daily thing. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you smell
it's
something,
so
right?
much.
I just don't have the time for paper no more. But mostly too, like paper, I struggle with sheds. Like paper doesn't give good humidity in these fucking tubs.
Yep.
And mind you, where I live, humidity matters. Like I struggle.
I'm in Utah. I'm in a dry desert climate. So yeah, I absolutely know that.
Wait until you just don't have to worry about soaking a snake no more. That's my biggest thing.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the biggest struggle I've had with any arboreal species was having a big emerald tree boa not fully shed. And you know how scary it is to take stuck shed off the head of a fucking emerald tree boa?
Nope,
like,
not doing it.
So, and I have ever since, and this isn't like a fucking promo thing. I swear to God, ever since I switched to the chipper, Coco to go, I've not had to deal with one stuck shed on an emerald. They are like completely all full sheds every single time, and that is just a luxurious life for me. I can tell you,
it's a sigh of relief, especially if you're keeping any imports too.
Dude,
no, thank you.
I'm telling you. So, anyways, I'll plug you guys up. You guys be the judge. You tell me.
Okay.
So, last Patreon question. Jamie is asking, what is your take on newer hobbyists who believe in quality over quantity? Do you think the old timers that don't evolve will be obsolete soon?
Yeah, I think quality over quantity is like the thing right now for any new keeper. I mean, I try to make it known as much as I can that you got to work with what you love. Like, it's not about the number of things you work with. It's like how much of those things you truly fucking love and are fired up for. And you don't have to start fast, So I think like people who really are into the quality versus the quantity go at a pace where they don't see themselves out in a couple years, And it's sad to see too, because you got people who come in super strong, spend money, they got a logo, they do everything that everyone else is doing, but then they fucking, for whatever reason, just doesn't fulfill. I feel like they put too much on their plate too soon. Like, just how about you start with loving the animal first, and that's it. So yeah, I do give props and kudos to any new keeper coming in with the whole like, dude, I just want the best looking of anything, and then go from there. Because we all know, like, people with the whole mass production side of things, it's not happening no more.
It's not sustainable. It's
not sustainable. I mean, and even people like Bob Clark, right? Like, most of the stuff's not even here. It's getting in different countries, So yeah, I mean, I do see that as that being an end of an era. Like, I mean, I know Bob wants to you would say, right?
Yeah.
Better return on investment,
especially on ball pythons. I'll say that
there's too many breeders out there, and I will say this, like, for me, like, I'm getting into new species right now, right? I got some carpets, I got green tree pythons, I got, Ryan just sent me some Sri Lankans. For me, the pinnacle of keeping is understanding them to the point of reproduction and getting them to to successfully reproduce. But not everyone like functions in that like mindset. And I definitely, especially with retics, like.
But I would say one thing to that point is that's kind of what we're taught in the reptile world.
Yeah,
is the only way you're successful with your animals is if you get them to reproduce. So I don't think that's a you thing, Lucas. I think that's what your expected mentality coming into this is supposed to be.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for me, it's kind of just part of the, like, ever since I hatched my first clutch, that was like, I want to replicate that with any species that I love and care for, and that I decide to keep, which is why I've been very, I have been pretty selective on, like, I went 6 years before I introduced any other species into my collection, and kind of dove into a couple that, I've always loved, but, again, that's the reason why I'm not keeping monitors, because I know if I keep them, I'm going to want to breed them, and I know I don't have time for them. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, Nathan, in the sense of, like, the moment you get on Facebook and you join a group, for every 10 posts, 8 of them are breeding related. People are
not even that. I mean, look at some of the literature around reptiles too. Some of the old literature. I mean, it's all based around, like, you're going to be successful with these animals once you're able to get them to reproduce.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, you're reaching and again, I feel like retics are the exception, because you can, get them to reproduce in the shittiest of conditions. But yeah, like, you've reached the pinnacle of keeping a species if you get them to reproduce. Right. Anyways, MJ, let me, any last, I thought tonight this is by far, I think, our longest episode that we're coming up on.
Nice.
Happy to do it too. Is there any last words or anything else that you want to say before we kick you out here?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I don't go on a lot of podcasts. I have, but I just don't. I feel like I said, I'm kind of burnt out. But Lucas has and Nate, you guys seen a lot of my journey and where I'm at, and I wanted to talk about some things that I don't really have opportunity to talk about on my show, because it's really not about me on Trap Talk. It's about the guest. But I also feel like, people should understand a little bit more about where I'm coming from. So I do thank you for the opportunity for me to get to come on TheReticLounge and just keep it real, like I always do, but just kind of like really give you guys a little bit of deeper side of what's going on with me. But either way, I'm just happy to be here. I'm so thankful every day for what I get to do, and I appreciate all the love and support. Anyone who watches Trap Talk Reptile Network and even follows me on Instagram, just thank you so much. Dude, I know who I have in my corner, and it's fucking awesome. And yeah, this was a great episode. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you, Nate. Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah.
And thank you, MJ. I mean, being on here, being vulnerable like this takes a lot of courage. So I appreciate that. And, you guys can find him over on his Patreon if you want that full access to MJ, totally
his blog
unfiltered.
Every other week now.
Yep. As well, you can find us over on Patreon, over on Instagram, wherever you enjoy your content. But till next week, we'll see you next time.
See you later, everyone.